Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody, hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party! Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it, I might be going live tomorrow. So hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Also, head over to theindianjesus.com for your very own, the official The Indian Jesus merch, like our Is It Though mug here. I love it. I love it. You should get one of your own only at theindianjesus.com. All right. What is good? What is good? We got Zippy in the building. We got Popcorn Burner account in the building. We got John. What's going on? What's going on? Another Jubilee video indeed. It's been a little while since we have done one, mainly because they copyright everything, but that's neither here nor there. And there was another one that was actually Mormons versus ex-Mormons that I was saving, and I was really excited, but it just was kind of boring. Thankfully, I also saved this one, which was pro-choice men versus pro-life women. And very, very, very interesting conversation. So let's just dive right in. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
You're coming from a family and you have 4 children, right? And you get pregnant and you have the 5th one, but that's the straw that broke the camel's back, and now your entire family's homeless.
But it doesn't mean that their life is worth any less.
And
though.
also,
let him talk. My name is Gen, and I explore social and controversial issues through both sides.
Shout out to Jen. This is a new thing that they're doing. They have a moderator. So Jen is also a YouTuber who does a lot of like man on the street type interviews. So typically they'll just have the producer off camera asking the questions. If you're not familiar with Middle Ground, what they'll do is have a prompt. As you see, there's 2 different groups of people here. As we said, we have the pro-life women and the pro-choice men over here. They're obviously going to be talking a lot about abortion. And so they'll put up a prompt like, abortion is murder. And then the people who agree will step forward and talk about it. And then the people who disagree will join the conversation. But usually it is a little bit of an ish show because there's people talking over each other, this kind of thing. So I like that they have the moderator. Let's do it.
I'll be moderating this Middle Ground episode of pro-life women versus pro-choice men.
So there's our groups. And as the prompts come up, I want to know what you guys would answer if you were up there. Or would you agree or disagree? And of course, don't forget, we can use our goal and game over emojis to keep it right in the branding.
And the first prompt is, abortion allows men to avoid responsibility.
Okay, so abortion allows men to avoid responsibility. So you can either agree or disagree. I would agree. I think that at the end of the day, even though this is heavily focused around, women's bodies, there's not enough conversation about, how the man is involved. And absolutely, if you're just slinging it all over the place and then, you make her get an abortion, that is not ideal. I'm not saying that's every case, but I would step forward and just present that one. Oh, look, we got Morty wants to come hang out. You want coming up here? Yeah, we got a co-host. Don't forget, every single super chat, Cash App, PayPal, whatever gets a treat for my co-host Morty. Burner account, Burner Popcorn account said, I hope this Asian dude isn't woke. He's not. He's I've seen a lot of his videos before. He's young and kind of towards that default liberal stance, but he's a good one. We got M169 in the building. Welcome to the party. Always good to see ya. We said, yes, it is murder. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. All right, we'll get there. All right.
Agreeers, please step forward.
So abortion allows men to avoid responsibility. Agree or disagree?
It does, because, for example, the cost of a first trimester abortion, which is majority of abortions, they cost between $500 to $800. Whereas if you're paying child support and you actually pay it, it's going to be about $5,000 each year. So like 18 years of someone's life is over $90,000. So I think that is a significant financial responsibility, and it's way easier to just pay for a one-time abortion than to support the child their whole entire life.
Yeah, and notice how, of course, all the women step forward, but all the guys who are like, yeah, we can just have this way out of this, they're all in the back disagreeing. that it helps them avoid the responsibility of being accountable for their actions, namely busting in a chick they didn't want to have a child with.
Many men too will just send a girl money and like go get it done, like so they don't have to worry about it.
I don't like to think that all men are like pigs like that, but there's definitely men that brag about that all the time. You know?
And also just men taking responsibility for birth control. Like, where is that male birth control pill? Men don't want to
I don't know about all that, but
be parents. Let's have a vasectomy. Right now, I think it's 500,000 vasectomies a year, but then there's 930,000 abortions. So, like, we don't want abortion to be birth control. And again, laying that on the woman, like, oh well, you know, you go ahead and you have an abortion because I wasn't responsible.
I'm Christian, and it's like no sex before marriage, and like for me, everyone knew, no, I'm not married and I have a kid, but I'm not going to cover that mistake I made that I should have already made for myself not to do that act. Just take responsibility for my actions, and now I live it, and I can use my story to encourage people instead of let's hide it away and cover things and like just put it away so no one knows.
Yeah, I think a big part of, you know, the desire to have an abortion comes with the notion that like I can't do this, I can't be a parent. And I mean, okay, there's definitely people who shouldn't be parents, there's definitely people who weren't ready to be parents, but at the end of the day, doesn't seem like you need to be the most skilled and educated person to be a successful parent. I feel like as long, and I'm not a parent, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like as long as you understand your responsibility as that parent and you do your best to try to love that child and guide them, I mean, you know, sure, every parent's going to mess up, but what else is there?
I love that you brought up like vasectomies.
Oh, they're already trying to claim it. So if so here's what we'll do. I am gonna drop the link to Rumble. If they so I'll just do it again if we need to. So that's the link to Rumble if you want to keep a tab open there. If they do cut it off here, we will continue over on Rumble. We're also on Kick, Instagram, X, Twitch, all of that good stuff. All right.
Just put it away so no one knows.
I love that you brought up like vasectomies and everything because I'm like here.
Well, so Zippy's saying, it's an option. Do you really want your kid in the system? No, but that's why I'm not having a kid. That's the whole point here is that we're the pro-choice position depends on the assumption that the issue starts once you're already pregnant, as if you didn't have a way to avoid that. If you don't want to have a child, don't raw dog. It's not complicated. I agree, which is why if you don't want a child, don't raw dog it. Because as bad as the system could be, what's the other alternative? Death? That's better? I mean, maybe, but all the more reason not to raw dog with somebody you don't want to have a kid with.
For male birth care, like when men are affected by issues, like that's when things change. I'm always of like this mind of like if men could actually get pregnant, like things would just this whole conversation would actually be very different.
This is, and again, that's liberal propaganda. You can't possibly understand the value of life because you can't grow a person inside of you. Do I not have a life? I value my life. Hell, I value a lot of your lives. So why does that disqualify me from understanding? Like, so am I not allowed to have an opinion on murder either? Shout out to Guam Tech. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. Our current prompt is abortion allows men to avoid responsibility. Agree or disagree?
We get pregnant, like things would just this whole conversation would actually be very different.
I'm aware the majority of men suck. I'm aware of that. We're not great.
So clearly, all these dudes are not. I was hoping that there might be somebody who was, you know, reasonable. But no, we're just gonna start. Well, of course, men suck. All men suck. We're not great as a species.
As a species, at least from my small little sample size of the four of us here, I know for a fact that if we were in that situation, it's not about the lack of, oh, okay, I'm getting rid of my financial responsibility to this child. I think it's both sides. I don't think that
What
it's
are you
one
saying?
specific gender that would feel the responsibility of having the child, caring for it. You know, we live in a day and age where stay-at-home dads get paternity leave too. So it's not this type of thing where we are forced to make women into mothers and keep them at home. And I think it's kind of
No, you're not forced. You don't have to have sex with anybody that you don't want to have sex with. Hey, shout out to Indyville. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. Zippy says, but people do wind up having sex without thinking or by mistake. Again, an option. Condoms are not 100%. Hell, even pulling out is not 100% if you're slow. I'm not denying any of that. But that's, seatbelts aren't 100% either. That doesn't mean that you should be able to, if you run your car into a wall, that you should be able to sue the car company. If you want to engage in a risky behavior, then you are taking on the risks of that behavior. That's it. One of the risks of having sex is that it is conceiving. That's the end of the story. So this goes back to, when we're talking about sex education, that I do think comprehensive sex education is important. I just don't think that kink education and all that stuff is part of sex education. I think that's kink education. But that's the point. Once you decide to have sex, you have already consented to the possibilities of what happens when you have sex.
kind of demonizing to see it more as a man-woman thing, and only the men are getting the flack for that.
At the end of the day, like, we're talking about the responsibilities placed on obviously both parents, right? What we just need to remember is that there's so many responsibilities. I would argue more responsibilities that fall onto the woman. We're seeing.
Pardon? Maybe, so maybe he's talking about pregnancy specifically. Okay, fair enough.
A lot of single mothers, more so than fathers. If men could.
Hey, shout out to Leah Cole. Welcome to the party. Always good to see you, sweetie. Welcome. Context said, agreed. Men avoid responsibility with abortion. Whatever happened to be a real man and going out for cigarettes and eggs and never coming back? Exactly. That's exactly what we want to spread. No, obviously. Good one.
You could walk to like a pharmacy and get an abortion with like a flu shot, like at the same time, same day. Get like a little sticker too. Like, that's the reality, I think. It's just for so much of history, these legislative decisions have been made exclusively by men. I think it's really important to.
Again, this is only a problem if men are for some reason not allowed to have an opinion on the sanctity of life. The liberal propaganda, the semantic obfuscation, has turned into linguistic creep. These people genuinely believe that it's not a life, and therefore I have no say.
These legislative decisions have been made exclusively by men. I think it's really important to now value and put a lot of emphasis on the perspectives of women who feel like this responsibility just isn't really being understood.
Yeah. We're not talking enough about women and how they feel and what they think. I think we need more of that.
I do think it's interesting, though, about what you said about legislators being men, because Roe v. Wade was decided by a majority male SCOTUS, but then Roe v. Wade actually had, not that many women.
So the thing here says on June 24th, 2022, the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization decision, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 Supreme Court decision that affirmed the federally protected constitutional right to abortion. And as I've said since then, that was a bad move on the part of the Republican constituency. The Supreme Court did the right thing. If it's not in the Constitution, it shall be decided by the states. However, we had a roadblock for people who wanted 9-month abortions. You are never going to get a full ban on abortion in America. That is not going to happen. I don't think that a pro-life person can get any better than where Roe v. Wade was. Again, I agree that the Supreme Court did the right thing. I think the Republicans screwed up by pushing it that far. I think that was the best compromise we ever could have gotten. Excuse me, Zippy said, the possibilities The possibilities is that's not a sentence. Restricting is like when is like what they are doing with gun laws. Let's toss random peeps in jail because of reasons. Thus you have to default to the person. Overthinking is a slippery slope that leads to more harm because lawmakers are insane. Okay, I agree with that. Now what restricting the light is what they're doing with the gun law. But no, it's not, because you have just the same way you have a right to live, you can't restrict that. So it's literally the opposite of the gun laws. With guns, you have the right to have it, and they are making laws that say you can't. With life, you have a right to have it, and they're saying that there's laws that you can't. Is that the same thing? It's not the same thing. It's the inverse. Because again, you have a right to guns and you have a right to life, and so the option of legislating that you don't is not or shouldn't be a possibility.
Interesting though about what you said about legislators being men, because Roe v. Wade was decided by a majority male SCOTUS, but then Roe v. Wade actually had not that many women, but more women than Roe v. Wade. So
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Like
and
men can be
You mean
perfect.
Dobbs?
Dobbs. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's always this kind of notion that like women make this decision kind of lightly. So like saying like, oh yeah, men are going to use this to kind of just, skirt around their responsibilities. It's like, it still is, or supposed to be, the choice of the woman.
Why? That claim has never been. Why is it the choice of the woman? Why does a woman get to choose to murder? Begging the question. So we said they're trying to put people in jail over miscarriages. So no, make no law because lawmakers are insane. Okay, so we can maybe not very easily, but at least as individuals, we can clearly have the position that no, if you have a miscarriage, that's not the same thing as going into a clinic and purposely ending the life of your child. Maybe if you want to make that, when it gets to that level and they're including miscarriages, then yeah, I'll be right there protesting that you should not go to jail if you have a miscarriage. But that's not at all what people are suggesting on this side of the argument. There might be crazy people who want that, but that's not that's a straw man. That's what the liberals think that we all are saying, is that if you don't have that baby, you're going to jail. No, it's a life that shall be deemed as a life like any other. That's it.
It still is, or supposed to be, the choice of the woman. It's not some decision that's just like, oh, okay, I got pregnant. Oh shoot, let me just get an abortion.
Except it is, or it could be.
Like this weighs on women so heavily, whether you are coming from the pro-choice or the pro-life side of things. Like this.
Switch this around. So it's not like you just go out and murder somebody. You plan it out, and it weighs heavily on you. And you talk to anybody who's ever killed somebody, you'll never forget their face. That doesn't make it okay. That has nothing to do with the morality of what we're talking about.
Heavily, whether you are coming from the pro-choice or the pro-life side of things. Like this isn't something.
And then I didn't even think of this, but why? Why does it weigh heavily? Maybe because you're actually doing something. If it was just a clump of cells, then it wouldn't weigh on you that heavily, would it? And that goes back to the safe, legal, and rare that Hillary Clinton said. Well, if it's safe and it's legal, then why should it be rare?
Something that, a decision that anyone's making very lightly.
I think we agree.
Yeah.
This is a very weighty decision.
Why?
100%.
And women are impacted after too. My friend had an abortion when she was 19, still thinks about the baby to this day. So it's a very hard decision. I agree with you.
And Muscadine said he's putting it on the women to choose, so he can either abdicate his responsibility or he's been conditioned to think he has no say. I think it's the latter. These wet noodle dudes don't seem like they have the political gravitas to jockey their way and be like, oh no, this is what I'm supposed to say, so I'm gonna get that. So I'm gonna go with the fact that they're indoctrinated. Like, well, it's your choice, your body, your choice, and I don't have any say. Except it's not your body, and unfortunately, it's your choice.
How could
Men can't tell women what to do with their bodies.
Okay, so we have got prompt number 2. The men can't tell women what to do with their bodies. So this is an interesting one because of the phrasing. So obviously, men can tell women what to do with their bodies. The question, it seems to me, is that the question is men, or the prompt is men shouldn't tell women what to do with their bodies. But we got 85% yes, and I think a lot of people are going, but by the wording, yes, men absolutely can tell women what to do with their bodies. Is it right? It depends on the circumstances, but I'm just answering the question. You said government paying for abortions is the real enemy. That's the main issue causing all the problems. I mean, it's definitely a big issue, but I would have a problem with privatized abortion as well. Murder is murder. Quantic said, men really got to find something that women have no say over. Is that even possible at this point? Of course not. Of course not. So yeah, 85% of the people online said, yes, men can't tell. Well, wait, agree or disagree? Why would you put in yes or no? It's not a question.
Conversation. Men can't tell women what to do with their bodies.
I'm very interested to see how they interpret it and who steps forward because of that. Because again, it's very obvious.
No,
obviously, based on the wording, you obviously can tell women what to do with their bodies.
Can't tell women what to do with their bodies, but when we're talking about abortion,
it's not your body.
There is a separate body. It's not my liver, it's not my kidney, it's a separate body.
I would agree with that too. It's like a father should still have a say in like what the life of their child, if they want to keep it or not, because it's 50% their DNA as well.
I was apprehensive to come forward because that's kind of used as men not to be able to say something about their child. And like you said, it's not the woman's body that's being hurt in the situation. So they don't have a right to tell women what to do with their bodies, but it's not their body that's being hurt.
I think this is generally used in the context of like legislation, and it's used to reflect on how there are a lot of male legislators who may not particularly know.
Say it with your chest, bro. Oh man, I think we're talking about legislation, and you know that really is comes down to what? Speak up.
Legislation, and it's used to reflect on how there are a lot of male legislators who may not particularly know like what it's like to go through a pregnancy.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know what it's like to go through a pregnancy. That is completely detached from the notion of whether it is okay to end a human life.
Well, let's get more women as legislators. Let's, you know, and the other thing is, if men can choose sex, I would hope they would be able to choose fatherhood too.
I'll be honest, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and when me and my wife found out she was pregnant, we did, you know, consider an abortion. We were very young. We were just going out to college. You know, we had our whole lives ahead of us. If I'm going to become a father, I want to be able to be the best father. And luckily in our situation...
I'm going to pause this here because they're trying to claim me again. Context said, I hereby advocate for the my body, my beard policy. Women have no idea what it's like having a beard and therefore cannot dictate what I can do with it, what's in and on my body. There you go. Beard it up. Beard it up.
Consider an abortion. We were very young. We were just going out to college. You know, we had our whole lives ahead of us. If I'm going to become a father, I want to be able to be the best father. And luckily in our situation, we have some familial support. We have housing if need be. You know, we're very driven. We're going to college. We have jobs. But I left it to her because she is assuming all the risk. I think the male should be, at least in my personal opinion.
But again, you're only talking about specifically pregnancy. That's a very narrow. If we're only talking about the experience of pregnancy, that's a very different conversation than abortion, because there's a lot more to abortion than just the pregnancy. There's the sex before, there's the life after. Pregnancy is just a part of the process.
Opinion, informed, but I don't think there should be a statute that says, you know, men have to be informed, because obviously there are circumstances where rape, incest, or just weird circumstances where probably they don't think they need to be informed.
I think that's interesting.
Well, I'm going to come back to that because I completely miss whatever he's talking about. Leah Cole said, so technically men are absolutely allowed to have an opinion about a woman's body when they're in a relationship. My boyfriend and I have each have our own preferences, but we talk about it and compromise. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Shout out to David Garrett over on IG. Yeah, I think that's a great point. It depends on the context. How often does that come up? Like you have these broad things. It's like, well, what is the context? Is the man the girl's father? Well, then yes, we definitely want the man to tell the woman what well, I guess it does say women, but you know what I mean? The context matters.
Incest or just
Yeah, I gotta go back through this. I don't know what it is that he said. So he said, I have a 4-year-old daughter. Okay.
I have a 4-year-old daughter, and when me and my wife found out she was pregnant, we did, consider an abortion. We were very young. We were just going out to college. We had our whole lives ahead of us.
I can't do this.
I'm going to become a father. I want to be able to be the best father.
And by best father, I mean killing the baby.
Luckily, in our situation, we have some familial support. We have housing if need be. We're very driven. We're going to college. We have jobs. But I left it to her because she is assuming all the risk.
David over on IG. Let me see if I can copy this over here. Oh, shit. Said, this dude is a beta. Said, this dude is a beta. Without our seed, she can't make life. So men and women are supposed to be on the same team. Exactly. Exactly. It's a team thing. And trying to, like M169 was saying before, there is a cohort, or not a cohort, but there's an ideology that allows men to believe that they're not responsible for this because it's well that's not me, that's you, it's your body, it's your choice, so I don't have any say here. But it's somebody else's life that you helped create. So great point, David. Oh damn, 12-year relationship. Dilly to that. Great point, David. Welcome to the party. But yeah, I still don't know what the hell this dude was saying.
College, we have jobs,
okay, so yeah.
But I left it to her because she is assuming all the risk.
She's assuming the risk.
Should be, at least in my personal opinion, informed, but I don't think there should be a statute that says, men have to be informed because.
Oh, he's talking about like if you just want to go out and do it and not even tell the father.
Haram!
That it should be okay to just. I mean, obviously we can see on the screen here, he's talking about these situations. That changes things a little bit, but that's, again, how often are we talking about that? Shout out to Norcat10 in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Hey, we got Kelly Green in the building. So if they want the choice to abort, then they ain't for more. Having a baby is non-negotiable. I ain't taking that chance of the chick killing my kid. Yeah, I hear ya. Welcome to the party, guys.
Opinion, informed, but I don't think there should be a statute that says, men have to be informed because obviously there are circumstances where rape, incest, or just weird circumstances where probably they don't think they need to be informed.
So again, using edge cases to make an argument that has nothing to do with the majority of cases.
I think that's interesting because I also have a 4-year-old son and I got pregnant when I was 18. So it was like the same kind of situation. I was a senior in high school. I had offers to go run track Division I. And I always would choose life. And everyone said, you're ruining your life. Why would you do that? But for me, like I always knew, this is a life. That risk happened to me and like I knew the consequences of it. So when I decided I'm keeping it, and I even ran track for 3 months while I was pregnant, just didn't tell my school, and broke 2 school records while I was pregnant, and even don't let other people tell me what I can accomplish because I had a baby young.
There you go. Is it ideal? Is it ideal to have, to get pregnant when you're that young? Of course not. But that's why this is part of the conversation. You can't just talk about the experience of pregnancy because you are completely ignoring a large majority of what's going on here. Life. Guys, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button. I know it's free. It takes 2 seconds and it'll help me out so much. Thank you.
Your story can exist still within the confines of pro-choice because it's not preventing you from making that choice yourself. We're still just advocating for women that aren't necessarily able to have the same powerful story that you do, like because they aren't of the same means to make a different decision.
See, this is exactly what I was saying. There's this idea. There's this idea that you have to be all set up in order to have a child. Now, again, it is ideal if you have resources, but that's something you should think about before you're engaging in sex, especially if you're not using protection. And then secondly, it's if you are planning on, I want to be set up before I'm a father and whatever, but this happened, then you deal with it. You'll be all right. The world is not going to fall apart because you had a child. You have to deal with life as it comes at you. You don't get to choose your life plan. That's not how it works. I mean, you can definitely choose not to be raw dogging, but if you are,
have the same powerful story that you do, like because they aren't of the same means to make a different decision.
What is your connection to abortion, if you don't mind me asking?
is that I think he's asking because dude, I'm assuming, is gay. So this is this should be the same mentality as the straight men, that it has nothing to do with sexuality. It's the fact that it's a life and you want to end that life and I don't want to end that life. But let's see.
Means to.
Hey, we got another homo in the building. We just had Mike Harlow on the show. Welcome. So do you find, so let me ask you directly, do you find that a weird question that he's like, well, how do you feel about it as a gay? Is that because that, if I feel like if I was gay, that would come off a little bit like, what you mean? I'm the person the same as anybody else. I have a value in life just like anybody else. What does gay being gay have to do with it? ML69 said if everyone waited for perfect conditions to start a family, humanity would die out. Exactly. Shout out to Jesse on Fire. He he made me the editor of his podcast that he's doing with his wife, and they were just talking about that same exact thing about there's no perfect moment. That if you have, whether it's children or whether it's a YouTube channel or a podcast or this, that, and whatever it is that you want to do in life, just do it. There's no perfect time. Just start. That's it. It's not more complicated. Just start. Shout out to Virgil Kane, all the way over from Manchester, England. Listen to the Bee Gees. Word up. Welcome to the party.
We're still just advocating for women that aren't necessarily able to have the same powerful story that you do, like because they aren't of the same means to make a different decision.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And Kelly Green on the same thing, like of the means. Yeah, I'm gonna say if these broke hoes can't afford Plan B, I don't know what to do for them. That's just pretty much foolproof, even if you raw dog. Now again, not a good idea to just be popping them like Tic Tacs. But it's a lot better than letting the baby grow for any amount of time and then doing the same thing. What are we talking about?
The same powerful story that you do, like because they aren't of the same means
Powerful
to
story.
make a different decision.
What is your connection to abortion, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, my personal story, I was adopted.
Okay.
It's funny, like when this comes up, people always question, like, you were adopted. Like, why are you pro-choice? Like, if your
Good fucking question.
mother had made a different decision, you wouldn't be here. I was adopted.
Actually, wait. Let me think about this real quick. Because I don't know if that like you would, adoption and abortion, they're kind of, in the same umbrella, but I don't think it's natural. I don't think you would assume that somebody being adopted would automatically be pro-life, especially because, like what Zippy was saying, that the system is not fun. So I would almost expect somebody who'd been through the system to be like, especially at a younger age, to just be like, yo, just take me out. I'm not even trying to do all of this. Like, yeah, if you were going to be there for me, but just take, so, I don't know. We'll see what else he has to say. But I don't think it's I don't see the direct correlation that seemed obvious when I first heard it.
If your mother had made a different decision, you wouldn't be here. I was adopted by an upper middle class Black family, which, like, especially when I was born, was not very common, still isn't very common. You're adopting children that look like you most commonly. Normally people that can...
Wait, what? I thought he said he was adopted by an upper middle class Black family.
Like, why are you adopted by an upper middle class Black family?
Okay, are you not Black?
Which, like, especially when I was born, was not very common, still isn't very common. You're adopting...
Well, I'm so confused. What are you talking about? Black parents having Black children is not common or wasn't common back then? Am I stupid? Please help me out. If I'm misunderstanding what he's saying, let's just let it play through, but I do not get what's going on.
Was adopted by an upper middle class Black family, which, like, especially when I was born, was not very common, still isn't very common. You're adopting children that look like you most commonly. Normally people that can kind of afford that range are probably white, so the children of color are left behind. Fortunately, I was able to.
Is he just saying in general black kids getting adopted is rare? Is that what he's trying to say?
To avoid that, but I am very cognizant that that's not the case for everyone else.
My friend Brandon, he was
So your argument is that because people typically don't want black kids to adopt black kids, even though you got adopted, we should kill them because what? Like what are I don't get it. I usually at least I can grab onto the argument on the other side and understand where they're coming from and why they're wrong and why it would be reasonable for them to hold that position. This is pure indoctrination and nothing else. Nothing else. I don't get it. I don't get it. And once you're not an adoption, usually happens right after birth. Don't conflate adoption with being in the system. Great point. Great fucking point. Great point. That's talking about being in a foster home or an orphanage or something like that. That's if you don't have the parents, or if your parents die. Usually, when we're talking about being adopted, it's when you're young. Now, I don't know if it's fair to assume at what point. Really, Virgil, a sad face? I can't get a whatever. So we can't assume that any one person at what time they were adopted. But that is a good point. That is a good point about, the system. And everyone said, dude is obviously white, you racist. That, or he misspoke. I really don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't know if he really answered the question. Sounds like he just took the time to tell his story. Maybe I just suck at listening. I don't think you do. And I think you are right. Hey, shout out to Hangin' AZ. Amazing. Amazing to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Let's try one more time. Let's try one more time. We'll go all the way back to this
If you don't
point.
mind me asking.
Yeah, I mean, my personal story, I was adopted.
So again, the men can't tell women what to do with their bodies. That was the prompt.
Funny, like when this comes up, people always question, like, you were adopted, like why are you pro-choice? Like, if your mother had made a different decision, you wouldn't be here. I was adopted by an upper middle class black family, which, like, especially when I was born, was not very common.
See, that part is so vague. What is not very common?
Still isn't very common. You're adopting children that look like you most commonly. Normally people that can kind of afford that range are probably white, so the children of color are left behind. Fortunately, I was able to avoid that, but I am very cognizant that that's not the case for everyone else.
My friend Brandon, he was also adopted. I'm so thankful that your mother chose life and that you had a great family. He unfortunately didn't. He works in the pro-life space and he shares a story all the time, but he suffered a lot of abuse and now he's a pro-life advocate. But he always says, like, isn't that baby's life worth living still?
Yes. Yes. Now, here's like, if you are an adult and you have gone through something and for an extended period of time, you make a rational decision that, like, hey, I don't want to continue this life thing. Typically, I'm going to say that probably just take some more time, talk to some people, see if we can figure some shit out. But I don't think that there is zero circumstances where self-deletion is reasonable. That is so far off from saying that because this happened or that happened, that the baby shouldn't even live. Hanging AZ said if white folks adopt the black kids, they get shamed by the wokies. Really? I would think that would be extra woke points. No? You get extra woke points for having a blackie. No? I don't know how it works, but they'll get mad at anything, right? Muxy9 said he's saying black families being upper middle class isn't common. Yeah, I'm getting that he's in general saying that the upper middle class or the families in general who can afford to adopt typically are white, which I think is still kind of racist because most people in America are white. So most people in any group in America are typically going to be white. But that they don't want kids that don't look like them, which is also not necessarily true because there was that whole thing about wanting a Chinese baby and getting extra woke points for that. So I mean, I definitely am not saying that there's probably a lower rate of black children getting adopted. I'm just saying I don't know like what this has to do with what we're talking about. Hanging AZ said, no, white people don't understand the needs of a black kid, apparently. Yeah, right. It's like food, water, and rap music, right? No, it's something else. Crazy. Anyone said, I believe Justice Amy Coney Barrett has adopted some non-white children. There you go. Woke as fuck. Well, I mean, not anymore. 9-0. Let's go. Amongst the 9 said whites aren't seen as culturally competent to adopt black babies. Yeah, I think that is, I think that you know what Hanging AZ, that does make sense. I would have assumed that it would be woke points, because you know you think of what's that show with the show from was it the 60s or the 80s? What you talking about, Willis, where he adopted the 2 black kids. I don't know. Obviously, wokeness wasn't a thing like that back then. But anyone said, I believe. Oh, you just got one. Guante said, nope. White families adopting black kids is a form of oppression and basically akin to slavery. Well, you learn something new every day. Maybe if we didn't have this type of thinking, more black kids would get adopted. Call me crazy. Leah said, yeah, it became a trend in Hollywood to adopt black babies. Madonna, Sandra Bullock, Charlize Theron too, I believe, to make themselves basically feel like they were solving the world's problems. Are you sure you're not thinking of the movie Sandra Bullock was in? Just kidding. Yeah, Different Strokes. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Advocate, but he always says, like, isn't that baby's life worth living still? Isn't it worth protecting still, even if it doesn't have the best circumstances? Because if we kind of take that route, then the kids who are less fortunate in terms of finances and babies of color, they're going to suffer the most from allowing abortion.
I love that perspective too. I think that hang on.
I can say something.
Yes, you go first.
Oh, what's the scripted line I'm supposed to say here? Oh, wait, somebody said something I wasn't prepared for. I don't have a pre-scripted line for this. Let's bring it over to somebody who has their own thoughts.
Hang on.
I can say something.
Yes, you go first. Sorry.
How amazing is your birth mom? I mean, that she would do that and give you life. I think when people are against abortion, we want to encourage people and support that and fix all the institutional problems that you guys have brought up that are real. We don't want women to have to feel that that's their only choice.
All right, the one person who disagrees before we get there, Hanging AZ said, well, the Hollywood people get black kids imported from different countries like Haiti. So if it's an African American, then it's cultural appropriation and oppression and slavery. But if it's a Haitian child, they're not black, they're Haitian. Got it. Wokeness is so complicated. Crazy. All right, let's see what this person. So again, I'm now I'm at this point, I'm only really curious. What is the interpretation that a woman? I'm sure that a woman's not going to come in and say, yes, a man should totally be able to dictate what a woman does with her body. That's clearly not where she's coming from. And so, what is she saying? Shout out to Dylan C in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. We are in Jubilee Middle Ground. The prompt is men can't tell women what to do with their bodies, and all these people agreed except this woman stepping forward.
We say about people's bodies is gender specific. I think men and women can both say things about each other. You mentioned a good point about legislators, right? I used to work in politics. It's interesting to see the people that make decisions, not just about women's bodies, right? They make decisions about the roads that we drive on, the food that we eat, or the quality of the air that we breathe, and they don't know what they're talking about, both men and women. So I don't really think that gender has anything to do with who can make decisions. I think education, compassion, empathy, those are really good tools to have. My mother, for example, she's a pro-abortion advocate, an activist. She is an
activist. Dylan said, male feminists are weird. Your beard is weird. I'd rather hang out with straight edge youth group kids and TikTokers. I used to be 2 of the 3. I used to be a straight edge kid in youth group. It was good times, but me loves the marijuana a little too much, Hanging AZ said Michael Jackson was a trendsetter. He adopted some white kids. There you go. There you go. Can't hate him for everything.
My mother, for example, she's a pro-abortion advocate, an activist. She is a woman who loves me. She's had multiple abortions in her life. I was supposed to be aborted. That was the plan.
Yikes. And remember, so the panel here, all the women are pro-life, all the men are pro-choice. So her mom is not only pro-life, but pro-abortion and almost aborted her.
Who loves me. She's had multiple abortions in her life. I was supposed to be aborted. That was the plan until she was, I guess today you would say, like, coerced. Family and friends like brought her to church and they're like, think about this, you know? And she decided to keep me, right?
And if I'm correct, you're also a Democrat. Is that correct?
I am, yeah.
So you're a pro-life Democrat
Yeah.
who is also a woman.
And we're out there. Being a Democrat in that perspective, I believe in social programs, right? I believe in government assistance. Maybe a lot of people disagree with me, but...
I don't think a lot of people do disagree with you. I think the degree to which there's these social programs, people would disagree with how much, but the idea that there's some sort of social safety net, I think most people agree that that should exist. Goal or game over? Goal or game over? Shout out to Jesse on fire over on Instagram. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party.
I believe in social programs, right? I believe in government assistance. Maybe a lot of people disagree with me, but there's a lot of good social programs out there, right? Some of them need more work, but we have WIC, right? We have just these programs that could use more funneling. Adoption is messy.
I think it's really...
I said, shit, me too. Straight edge youth. Oh, I loved it all. I loved it all.
It's just really interesting, right? Because a lot of pro-lifers tend to be a little conservative, but part of empathy is being able to understand other people and their situations, or at
unless they're a fetus, then we don't need to care about them at all.
least acknowledging when you may not understand. What it means to be a woman, what it means to go through pregnancy. Like this whole prompt, right, is about whether or not men really, I think, understand that, and whether or not their opinion has this value or a heightened value when they don't understand.
Projection! Sorry, bro. It is you that does not understand. It is not us that is misunderstanding your position. It is you who do not see that we are not talking about a woman's body. We are talking about a different person, a child's body. Projection. Shout out to Logan. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. So I had youth group as well, but it was always playing Counter-Strike tournament in a church. Yeah, my youth group was pretty cool. I mean, I've told you guys before, I was brought up in the Catholic church, but we eventually moved to a Methodist church. And it was much more laid back. That's where I met my first girlfriend. And, I've told you some stories about what we did in the church and all that stuff. But yeah, we would have like lock-ins where there'd be games and stuff. It was genuinely fun. And there was a religious aspect to it. And, we might play some games that had to do with scripture and stuff. But I think that was a much better way to get people involved in the Gospels, in religion in general, than the shame of the Catholic Church. And obviously, I moved away from religion eventually anyway, but I never would have been somebody who was strongly in favor of Christianity if I had not moved away from the Catholic Church. Because when I was Catholic, it was just a thing that we did. Like, yes, I genuinely believed, but that's because I didn't know anything else. It wasn't until they were like, oh, religion can be something fun. Religion can be something fulfilling, which I absolutely did not get from the Catholic Church. And then I realized, oh, well, it's not only religion that can be fulfilling, and maybe doesn't really get the job done. I was just shout out to M169. I was just tweeting before that I had watched The Giver, the Lois Lowry, something like that. I don't know, but a book you probably read in like middle school or high school about, a world where it's super sanitized and everybody lives in black and white and there's no pain, there's no love, there's no emotion, there's no nothing. Everything is super sanitized and nobody's hurting, nobody's in any pain or anything. But of course, there's nothing to live for. Everybody just is a mindless drone. And then, the guy then brings back color to the world. And I thought it was a perfect allegory for what's going on, that some people want to sanitize things so much that they want to take the value of living a life out of living life. I don't like it. Burgess, I was brought up as a Zoroastrian, and I still have no clue what that was about. Well, we're in the same boat, brother.
right, is about whether or not men really, I think, understand that, and whether or not their opinion has this value or a heightened value when they don't understand.
I wanted to go back on what you said about not being for social programs. I'm definitely for social programs. One thing is if you are against abortion.
It's so perfect. It's so perfect when you get these little moments of the demonstration of how ignorant some of these people are. Again, I skipped through this like I always do, but I didn't watch this. And as soon as he said social programs, I knew that his assumption was that by being pro-life, you would automatically not want the government to help anybody in any circumstance at all. And then, of course, well, yeah, she says, I'm in favor of this. Really? Oh, my goodness. Lisa said, I was so straight edge back then that I was kind of prudish and couldn't even say the word sex. I had to sell it. I couldn't even mention body parts. And now I have a very filthy mind. There you go. So I was one of the people who said the 3 X's were drugs, alcohol, and promiscuous sex. Promiscuous sex. So I was and again, I was Christian as hell. I met my first girlfriend in that Methodist church. And so I'd planned on waiting till marriage. I wanted to have that special night with my one and only. And then she was like, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. And then we did it. And like, I remember one of the lock-ins, we had sex in one of the bathrooms. We would play, we call it manhunt. And so it'd just be in the me and her would just go in the boiler room and it was nasty in a good way. But yeah, times they are a changing, aren't they? Don't say it's like they're playing checkers with the goalposts. Always. But yeah, I want to point that out. Notice how, notice his reaction to when she says, I'm in favor of some level of a social program.
I'm definitely for social programs. One thing is if you are against abortion, you need to.
She just says she's been in a 12-year relationship, bro. Come on, man.
Be concerned about the baby after it's born, and that's one thing that's always, said to people who are against abortion. And
which is also a stupid point. Well, if you're so pro-life, what about a welfare and this and that and that and that? Excuse me. Just because I don't want you murdering people doesn't mean I think that we should all have to just throw our money at those people. They have a life. They have a right to life, not a right to my money. Those are two very different things.
Always, said to people who are against abortion. And, I volunteer at a shelter for pregnant women who are fleeing domestic violence. I know so many people who have fostered and adopted, and I do agree that we need to donate our time and our resources to that cause if we are going to be against abortion. I totally agree with you.
Look how cute he is. Don't forget, every single super chat, cash app, PayPal, whatever comes with a treat for my co-host, Morty.
You can be a feminist and pro-life.
Ooh, interesting. So our next prompt, you can be a feminist and pro-life. Pretty split online. So they had 58, 42. So let's make that a poll on our own. I'll do it as a question. I don't know. Again, they're not asking questions and they're doing yes or no. So can you be a pro-life feminist? What do you guys think? I am going to say yes, because feminism doesn't really mean anything, and it's just kind of a catch-all for yay women and women, whatever women want. So I'm gonna say yes, because I don't really think that there's anything that you can do and not be feminist if you're especially if you're a female. Agreeers stepping forward. Dylan says maybe egalitarian feminist versus or classical feminist, but not the third or fourth wave feminist. Notice what all the dudes are doing. Standing tall.
I love this one because the definition of feminism is one who espouses equal social, political, and economic opportunity for women. And
I'm sure she appreciates it.
there is no litmus test for that. And I am totally for seeing more women CEOs.
You go, girl.
A female president.
Yes,
and
queen.
If you study history, the founders of feminism, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Susan B. Anthony,
Queen,
were pro-life. And even the first female doctor, Elizabeth Blackwell, said that if you terminate an embryo, you're lacking strength and dignity. And so,
ooh, that's a good line there. Before we get back to it, Dylan said their OnlyFans girlfriends have their balls in their purses, and that you're probably more spot on than you even know. I would guarantee at least half of them either have a girlfriend who's on OnlyFans or wishes they were with a girl who's on OnlyFans. Sad, pathetic. Lomsek said, funny, I'm literally the opposite. I'm anti-feminist, but pro-choice. Not personally, but socially. Yeah, and that's definitely worth talking about as well. That I do think because of the lack of trust in the government and institutions that Zibby was talking about earlier. I'm not, I don't think that hey, shout out to Pump Me Up over on Kick wants me to flash my tits. You gotta pay for that. Send a $5 cash app and I'll titty you all over the place, bro. Welcome to the party. What were we saying? Oh yeah. So I do think that's very important to distinguish that, because I don't have any trust in the government. I don't have any trust in. I'm losing trust in the medical institutions. That I don't want a law that would prevent people from getting care that they need. So that is specifically what I need: care that they need. And so I would be afraid of legislating no abortion, and then you have women dying, or like Zippy said, people having miscarriages. What would be ideal for me is that abortion is allowed, but nobody would think to do it because it's so horrible. Again, that isn't ideal. Just like, I mean, I don't even know what it would be like, but that would be the ideal. So the better we can have our culture represent that this is not something that we want, then the less we have to rely on the government to legislate morality. That, I mean, that's what laws are, but we want the culture to dictate more than the statutes. Don't say, I wonder which of these dudes are like iDubbbz. Oh God.
Said that if you terminate an embryo, you're lacking strength and dignity. And so
if you terminate an embryo, you are lacking dignity. Bars.
So 100% you can be a feminist and be pro-life.
I think something so amazing about women is that we can reproduce and our bodies do all of these things, like me going through the pregnancy process and just
So it's almost like, instead of thinking that this notion of pregnancy is some horrible thing that I gotta deal with and nobody's gonna understand, look at it as a gift. A gift. Now, it may not seem like a gift if you use it in the inopportune time when you're 18 and you're getting with some dude you have no plans on living with or anything like that. Sure, I can understand that. But it's not that complicated. It's really not that complicated. Logan said, I do not consider a miscarriage an active abortion. Me neither, since your body did it on its own. Yeah, and so that's why, when Zippy, when you brought that up before, that particular thing I don't see ever where we would get legislatively where this would get you in trouble with the law because you had a miscarriage. That doesn't mean that we can't have, again, I think Roe v. Wade was perfect. Roe v. Wade was perfect because I don't want people having abortions. I want people who need to end a pregnancy to be able to end that pregnancy. That doesn't mean that the child needs to die. That doesn't mean that it should be used in situations where it's not needed. Now, who decides what is need? That's a conversation we can have, but I would like to have the conversation before we start killing fetuses.
Can reproduce and our bodies do all of these things, like me going through the pregnancy process and just seeing how my body just prepared to give life. Even though I was young, I had no idea what I was doing. My son was the first diaper I changed, first baby I held. I didn't know what I was doing, but the motherly instincts just come, and I think that's something so important about being a woman, and even after recovering and now competing again in sports and stuff. It's just like our bodies were made for that. And I think it's just more empowering to know as women that that's what our bodies were created to do. And we can use that. And like, it's just such a powerful thing for us.
So what you're saying is trans men can't get pregnant, or trans women can't get
I
pregnant.
think a lot of people, they'll say that, I mean, this is something that people say, that we need abortion because it levels the playing field, because children are actually what's setting women back. The fact that we have to be home and be mothers, and I think, I mean, this is 2023, that's not the case anymore. Women can be athletes and be mothers, and they can look at Serena Williams, right? I mean, I could say a bunch of examples, but I think it's pretty anti-feminist to think that you can't value life and also want to be, you know, successful woman, whatever that looks like for you.
Agreed.
I saw a video of Adele getting an award, and she was like, so
from the other side.
many people told me I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to win awards after having my child. And now she's absolutely crushing it. So I think there's so many women who are successful, and, you know, they didn't need abortion. They didn't need to murder their child to be successful.
And while, you know, we're on the topic of Adele, let's not forget that the feminists went after Adele for losing weight, for getting healthy. So they don't want you to be healthy, but they want to kill children.
What?
How does that make sense? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. But the reason that they can have these discoordinate ideas is because they lack principles. They just want what they want. It doesn't matter about the right thing or the wrong thing or whatever else. They just want what they want. They can't even see that all they want is just what they want. They can't even see that they don't have a desire for a structure, a moral structure that we could use throughout society. They don't even care. Leah said, agreed to Logan. I mean, if you break down the word miscarriage, it literally means an error in the carriage. A woman's body chose to reject it. An abortion is done from outside sources. Completely agree. I don't think miscarriage and abortion are anywhere. The only thing that they have in common is the fact that the woman was pregnant and now she's no longer pregnant. However, she does not have an offspring. That's the only connection between an abortion and a miscarriage, in my personal opinion. Excuse me, Logan said Adele got so much hate from leftists when she lost all that weight. Yeah, again, because they're fat and they're ugly. So they say, oh, I mean, I don't know how ugly Adele is, but, you know, fat is fat. So she said, oh, a fat lady can get famous. So maybe it's okay for me to be fat. When really, it's just, no, she got famous, not because she is fat, but because she sings well and she happens to be fat. So this whole idea that you know, society's against fat people is disproven by that. But then you see that, okay, she's making money. She has, you know, she's on TV and this and that and that, and she wants to look good, and she wants to live and be healthy.
How dare you?
But that doesn't make me feel good. So you have to stay fat. Stay fat. That's the level of thinking. Shout out to Russell Brand. I will take that all day. Dylan said they also went after her for a cultural appropriation when she went to Jamaica for a vacation and the locals gave her a makeover of some kind. These people get mad at anything, They have no, this is what happens when you don't have not only principles, but you don't have hobbies. What do? Your whole hobby is just, hey, they did that. Go have fun. Go do something.
I feel like one issue doesn't make you not a feminist, right? I feel like you're a great example of this. You can fight for women's rights, women equity, you know, more inclusion for women, and I feel like you're the quintessential example. You can fight for it. No, really, like you're what I think of when I think of you can be feminist and be pro-life.
He's trying to raise her up. Let's go. All right, so disagree that all 3 out of the 4 men who think, well, I'm a man, so I don't get to have an opinion here. 3 out of the 4 of those men say, no, you ladies cannot be feminist if you think this thing.
What?
Poor guy's casting out a lifesaver ring. He's trying.
When I think of you can be feminist and be pro-life.
All right, so these are the
That,
disagreeers.
like, you know, if you're pro-choice, you're not valuing life in a way.
No, not in a way. You're just not valuing life. If you want to destroy and get rid of something, then inherently that means you don't value it, or at least you value something else more.
The conversation is never about the mother's needs, what's going to
Here we
happen
go.
with her.
Because I'm not concerned with her. I'm not concerned with her. I'm concerned with the baby. Just because the baby has the right to life doesn't mean the mother has the right to my money or even care or attention. She decided to lay down with a dude that she didn't want to have a baby with. What are you doing? Morty will find something. He's starving. He's climbing up on my thing. Come on, man. You can't climb up there. I know. Maybe a little super chat and I'll get you something. The fact that they can't. What was you just saying? Oh yeah. The fact that you can't even see. Well, you're kind of not valuing life. That's what it is.
The conversation is never about the mother.
Shout out to Logan. I think we got a comment of the night. Oh my God. So, funny little story. You guys know how I used to be a little beta bitch who didn't know shit about shit and looked at rom-coms and Disney movies as how to approach relationships. Eventually, I found, the red pill space and learned what I needed to learn, and then also realized that the red pill space was toxic and problematic. But all during all while this is going on, Jack Murphy is damn near a regular on Timcast. He's always talking about his group, his Hustlers University, his Liminal Order is what it was called. You guys remember what happened with Jack Murphy, right? Let's pull that up real quick since they're trying to let's see. So not addressing the incident. I just want the clip. Yeah, clip this. Oh, so they were on. It was on The Blaze with Eli Schaefer. Is that his name? And Sidney Watson. And they were just reading. They were just reading super chats. Oh, we can get there.
She'll be like, how is it then that if like
are we gonna do the ovens and the cookies?
Yeah,
no.
She'll read she'll read something so innocently. She'll be like,
we'll get there.
But they're so good and get her. They'll be like, I love carpentry and building things, and I built a wood door for my shower, but the steam still got out while I was showering. How could wood keep steam in the shower and keep the gases in? And she'll read it. And she's like, I don't know. I maybe like she'll like respond. Maybe get like a different type of a glass door, and she just like moves on, and I'm just like,
yeah, she doesn't know she's done it until she hears me and Elijah laughing.
And like she just like she does this, and I'm like,
I am now officially concerned for my career.
She reads this stuff and she doesn't know what she's reading, and she's trying to be nice.
You could have warned.
If anybody can find the actual post that they're about to refer to, I would love you. I'm looking for it, but I got a million things going on. So if you can find it, send me a link either in Discord or whatever.
Well, where would the fun in that be?
Moments later.
Anamorphosis says, Elijah, and I apologize for this in advance, Jack, asked Murphy about the article he wrote about literally cuckolding his wife. I wish I was joking. True alpha.
Wow.
True.
Wow, you went there with that.
So, sorry, I didn't realize that was so big. But so, this guy is supposed to be, manly man, not in the red pill space, but we got to be real men. We got to do. And turns out that he wrote an article years ago about letting another man, similar to a Sneeko situation, letting another man get in all up in his wife. And so the super chatter is saying, you have this liminal order thing that's, again, similar to, John Goldman. Let's use his real name. You're telling all these people that you got to be a real man. Meanwhile, you're doing this. And so that was the super chat. Again, if somebody can find that link, I would love to see it.
I went advance, Jack. Asked Murphy about the article he wrote about literally cuckolding his wife. I wish I was joking. True alpha.
Wow.
True.
Wow, you went there with that. I have absolutely no comment on that other than to say that whatever people's perception is about that, it's 180 degrees wrong. And it has nothing to do with people thinking what they're thinking it to be today.
Are we talking about sex right now?
Do you know what cuckolding is?
I totally thought
it's
you were
where
reading...
you get a chicken and you hold it and
no,
you love it.
I just blanked out for a second.
You make more chickens.
I just blanked out for a second.
I support you having chickens.
We
I
don't
have
kink
chickens.
shame.
I like chickens.
So what they're talking about, I can't get the whole thing here. I don't know. Again, what we're doing, where it's from. Come on, you can't give me a bigger. So from by Jack Murphy, aka John Goldman, cultivating erotic energy from a surprising source. Today, I sent my adoring, loyal, hot, young girlfriend of 2 years to have sex with a stranger from Tinder. She's currently at his apartment, checked in with me via text, and is presumably sucking and fucking her way to a good time. I'm alone writing. Couldn't be happier.
Loser!
So that's what they're asking about on this show. And so, obviously he's tried to shed that image and kind of build up his thing. And then somebody asked about it and he's not happy about it. Let's go here.
I just blanked out for a second.
I support you.
Blanked
and
out
then
for a
you-
second.
You make more chickens.
I just blanked out for a second.
I support you having chickens.
We
I
don't
have
kink
chickens.
shame.
I like
Yep.
chickens.
If you have a hen house, that's great. That's you should have your own eggs. Great.
We don't
supply-
kink shame.
Great for protein.
More moments later.
Mr. Dick and Balls says, "Hey Jack,
Oh yeah, that was real.
See, that's what she does. She does this. Like she reads it like that's normal. Like it's not even. She's not even saying, "I'm not gonna skip the name." She just goes, "Mr. Dukenball said."
So that's an important part of this as well, is that just like with you guys, I don't pre-read the comments before I pull them up. I definitely should, and there's definitely going to be a time when, all of this is going to change. But for now, I trust you guys enough that I'll just pull up whatever. And a show of this size, it's a little bit risky to do that. So I don't think anybody does like that. They try it and they hate it, but I don't think anyone can. Dylan said, remember those 10 glorious minutes they were trying to say cuckolding was racist?
What?
I missed that one. All right, let's just finish up what he's saying here.
Like she reads it like that's normal. Like it's not even. She's not even saying, "I'm not gonna skip the name." She just goes, "Mr. Dukenball said."
could you please clear up the cuck article you wrote?"
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And
So again, he was mad when they originally brought it up.
basically, you know what? Fuck you
Me?
for bringing this up right here and right now.
Oh,
Why
me?
are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry,
Woof.
apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck.
That's the host of the show.
What it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt, bro. I wrote that article and now people are asking about it and it's your fault and I'm mad because I'm a cuck. I'll say the worst problem about the question of abortion is that you can simultaneously make an argument that the government shouldn't control people's actions, but that your morality says abortion is wrong. Yeah, that's. I don't know. What is going on here? Good call. I don't know. Let's keep them up and just see what it says. Loja said, I like the Cuck Simulator game on Steam. I bet you would. Added him to the game and renamed his order to the Seminal Order. Oh, God. Oh, God. Edgar's more important, the morality of not, or what's more important, the morality of not killing a child or the ability to keep the government out of people's lives? Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah, what's more important? Leah's agreeing. Dylan saying about Jack here that he's one of those people that when you see them strip, you'll pay them to keep their clothes on and put more clothes on. Okay, fair enough. All right, let's finish this up.
Now,
Me?
why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt.
Elizabeth Harrison says, gonna miss the show, but have a good break. IHTAC, what's that?
So that that was the little incident. Obviously, that was at the end of a podcast, but they were doing well, and he flipped out, and then of course that brought the Streisand effect to the article that we saw that was very real, and he melted down. He melted down. Like I said, he used to be a staple on Timcast IRL, and then he just Dano snapped out of there because this was just like, yo, I don't want this shit here. The part that I didn't tell you, about 3 weeks before that podcast, I signed up to be in the liminal order because I wanted to get my life together. I wanted some workout buddies. I wanted some manly motivation. So the first couple weeks were, it was like I don't remember exactly how much it was. It was fucking expensive. But the first month was like, oh, you have to prove that you're worthy. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then we had a meeting, and there was something, like a Zoom meeting, and there was something about like, are you ready to do this, that? And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, no, actually, that's kind of what I'm here for. Like, I don't really, I need some of that motivation. And they're all like, so you're gonna do what you're gonna do. All right, I'll do it. And then, they break people up into groups, and you're supposed to have this stuff and that. Oh, we're getting the hungry dance. We're getting the hungry. Oh, maybe not. So for 3 weeks, I was a member of the liminal order. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just that period in my life. Maybe it was the naivete of how well some of these guys could disguise their cuckery. But it was bad. Probably. Yeah, it was not cheap. I don't remember exactly how much it was. And I only got on the bottom tier. But there was definitely like $500 a month tiers for sure. And the way they sell it is, well, you need to, this is networking. This is investing in yourself. You put this money so that you can be in the same room as the people who really matter. And it's all fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. Now, there are definitely social clubs that do have that status and are worth it. But you're not finding it from a YouTuber. You're not finding it from a YouTuber. When I offer you guys the membership of the full Discord server, I'm offering you more time hanging out with me. That's it. I'm not going to promise that you're going to be a better person. I guarantee you'll have a good time. But other than that's all it is. It's about having fun. It's about learning. It's about meeting people. It's not about, oh, you need this, otherwise you're a bitch, beta loser. Very sad. Very, very sad. Virgil said he has 2 beards, an extra one on the side of each side of his face, admitted different color. Oh, God. Gonzig said, Jack led you astray. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. I don't know. I just wanted some help. And yeah, I mean, that was a rough period. That was a rough period of my life. I'll tell you what, because I had also, this was not too shortly, but shortly after I had paid for a consultation with Fresh and Fit.
Loser.
I was really lost. Luckily, I was smart enough to realize by learning from those mistakes that like, oh, these are just fucking dudes. They're not, any special guru. But I absolutely was led astray. Everyone said a little behind, but he should have just said it. Listen, I've done stupid things and I'm trying to be better. Yeah. And it would have gone, and nobody would, like, how many people even knew that show existed? No shade. But, like, it's not like it was a huge show. The only reason everybody knows about it is because he flipped out. It's not very masculine. You're supposed to be stoic. Handle your emotions. All right, Phil, fuck you. All right, bro. Yes, please. All right, where are we here? Oh, so we got the disagreeers. All the femboys are saying, no, ladies, you can't be a feminist. I'm here to mansplain to you that you can't be a feminist.
Saying that, like, if you're pro-choice,
that is definitely not worse.
You're not valuing life in a way. The conversation is never about the mother's needs, what's going to happen to her. It's just hard for me to reconcile someone being feminist while saying, like, I don't want you to have bodily autonomy in that way.
Correct
in before mansplaining.
me if I'm wrong, but you came up for the prompt where it was men can't tell women what to do with their bodies. But then I find it kind of ironic that like there's men who tell women you can't be a feminist.
Called it. Called it. Called it. These people are so simple. These people are so simple. You know exactly everything they're going to say. You knock over the first domino and everything else falls in line.
And be pro-life.
But with that previous prompt, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Just with that previous prompt, telling them that like you can do whatever you want, like giving them the authority to do what they want with their bodies.
But isn't part of those options the ability to have that decision to be pro-choice or pro-life? Isn't that part
Yup.
of giving women the option, though, is empowering them to make their own decisions?
Mhm.
I think there's like a
Nope, women can't do what I don't want them to do. Hashtag feminism.
big misrepresentation of the pro-choice side. The idea that pro-choice people
Well, you're
don't
here.
support,
Speak up, motherfucker.
mothers, I think that's just inaccurate. If women find power in being mothers, that's awesome. That's great.
Well, let's talk about the women's movement, because I think what I'm concerned about with the women's movement is this trend toward celebrating abortion. It used to be safe, legal, and rare, and we all could agree on rare. Let's do all we can to make this rare. I want to see the focus.
Right, but again, why do we want it to be rare if it is not something bad? If it's something neutral, if it's something amoral, that is neither good nor bad, just a thing that we do, then why should it be rare? Yeah, this is the Limp Wrist Club.
Focus on the women's rare, and we all could agree on rare. Let's do all we can to make this rare. I want to see the focus on the women's movement be toward women succeeding professionally and
Done. Finished. End of task. You already win that. Women already out-earn men.
And this is becoming, let's celebrate abortion as the feminist movement, and that's just the wrong direction.
I agree with you. I was at the
Oh, guys, come on. Look how hungry he is. Come on.
Supreme Court when Roe v. Wade got overturned, and I saw women standing on these elevated spaces taking abortion pills and people clapping for them, and that was it was really heartbreaking to see.
I know, but
This prompt was a little more difficult for me just because I don't know if I agree with either side here. Feminism.
I am so excited to hear what kind of drivel is going to come up with not being on either, unless it is precisely what Guamtech said. That is the only way to be in the middle on this issue. Something tells me that's not what he's going to say.
A little more difficult for me just because I don't know if I agree with either side here. Feminism is an incredible movement, and I love that.
I don't think so.
The fight is to give women agency and to really make them courageous on any choice that they do, whether that be pro-life or pro-choice. They get that agency to do it.
Hey, there we go. Shout out to Logan with the $5 super chat. Oh, he's been waiting. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. He is loving it. He is loving it. Thank you so much, sir. Very, very, very much appreciate it. All right, let's make sure we get this bullshit in full.
This prompt was a little more difficult for me just because I don't know if I agree with either side here. Feminism is an incredible movement, and I love that the fight is to give women agency and to really make them courageous on any choice that they do, whether that be pro-life or pro-choice. They get that agency to do it. It is strong and courageous.
Thank you, brother. I really, really, really do appreciate that.
To have the baby to full term. But it's also strong and courageous to make the choice on your own of, you know what, I'm not going to bring another life into this world if I can't care for it correctly, if it's going to struggle, if it's going
to... No. If that's the situation, then you don't get pregnant in the first place. That's the responsible thing to do. That's the choice that you have. You don't get to choose to bring a life and then end it because you fucked up. That's not what it is ever supposed to be.
Strong and courageous to have the baby to full term. But
Yes.
it's also strong and courageous to make the choice on your own of, you know what, I'm not going to bring another life into this world if I can't care for it correctly, if it's going to struggle, if it's going to have all this stuff.
Raise your hand. Put a 1 in the chat if you have never struggled. What are you saying? You're just talking shit to come back to your conclusion. Your conclusion is that women should be able to have the choice, and you're working backwards. Everybody struggles. Everybody has shit in their life. That's what life is. That's what we value.
Going to bring another life into this world if I can't care for it correctly, if it's going to struggle, if it's going to have all this stuff.
And again, I know I just said this, but the idea is if that's the situation, then don't get pregnant in the first place.
What you had said about, you know, the women at the Supreme Court taking the abortion pills on the steps, I don't see that as negative. I think those are...
You don't think that people making a public display of celebrating ending life is a big deal? I don't know what we can do here, guys. I don't know what we can do here.
You know, the women at the Supreme Court taking the abortion pills on the steps. I don't see that as negative. I think those are just powerful moments that are people standing up to what they deem authority figures.
It's not powerful.
Based. Oh, I killed my baby to stand up to the man.
What?
to murder your child. Like, I think it's powerful that women are empowered to keep their child. Like, we've progressed so much as a society. I think it's crazy to tell women that, like, we can't support the baby and the mother. Like, we can do both, and we should put all of our.
But under the current system, we can't.
But we should. Like, don't you think that saying, "Oh, well, let's just allow abortion," like, I feel like that's a cop out.
Yup.
We should push to do both.
But the legislatures you support aren't doing that. That's the problem.
We can say one thing.
What legislation are we talking about? Now, I know they cut this up, but I don't think she brought up any legislation, at least not on the what we're seeing. So you might be assuming things, or maybe they cut it out. But we haven't talked about legislation other than Roe v. Wade.
To do
But
both.
the legislatures you support aren't doing.
Oh, the legislatures. The legislatures. You mean the legislators or the legislature? The legislation.
That's the problem.
We can
you can say one thing. You
day.
can
It's
say
not gonna
this all
change
day,
anything.
but the problem is that's not happening.
The fact that abortions happen as much as they do speaks a lot about what resources we have as a country for people who are pregnant and for people who are expecting.
Yeah, because you need like the most state-of-the-art equipment with the cutting edge technology to kill a baby. Stairs, baby, stairs. Hangers work too.
A lot about what resources we have as a country for people who are pregnant and for people who are expecting. I think when they
I think we are
when they
agreeing on
celebrate-
that, though.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
agreeing on that.
When people are celebrating stuff like abortion access, what they're celebrating is not the fact that abortions happen. They're celebrating the fact that they now have the agency to make that choice.
I see that as a distinction without a difference. I will accept that. I will accept that they're not saying, yes, let's go out and have more abortions. Some of them actually definitely are. But I would say, to be fair, most of them are in favor of the idea that they have the agency, they have the choice, which they shouldn't, but they do. And they feel that is a right. So they're celebrating that. However, when you're celebrating the choice to murder babies, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't care if you're celebrating killing babies or being allowed to kill babies. It's still fucked up. It doesn't change anything. The upper lesser narcissistic personality disorder type A, the smart, affable asshole. You can claim benefits now after your diagnosis. There we go. There we go. Affable asshole. I'll take it. The truly iconic moment was women saying no sex ever Roe v. Wade was overturned. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Is not the fact that abortions happen. They're celebrating the fact that they now have the agency to make that choice.
That's not necessarily true, though, because, like, there's so many TikToks, and I'm sure we've all seen them, of, like, women making...
Ooh, good catch. Good catch. I missed it. People who are pregnant. Which people? Women. Good catch. I missed it. Where is it?
What they're celebrating is not the
We're agreeing on that.
when people are celebrating stuff like abortion access, what they're celebrating is not the fact that abortions happen. They're celebrating the fact that they now have the agency to make that choice.
That's not necessarily true, though, because, like, there's so...
Sorry. We got ahead of ourselves. So he didn't say people who aren't pregnant. He said when people are celebrating that, when people are celebrating abortion.
Are pregnant. When people are celebrating stuff.
When people are celebrating stuff like abortion access. So if you're, a limp wrist motherfucker like this, you would celebrate the fact that that you have abortion access. So that would be a catch, and I'm sure he would say pregnant people or pregnant persons or pregnant whatever. But call it like it is. That wasn't that.
Like abortion access, what they're celebrating is not the fact that abortions happen. They're celebrating the fact that they now have the agency to make that choice.
That's not necessarily true, though, because, like, there's so many TikToks, and I'm sure we've all seen them, of, like, women making abortion cakes and, like, literally throwing party. Like,
ooh, let's see if we can find. I would love to see that abortion cake. What in the fuck is this? Shout out to the quartering. Let's see what he's got here. Oh. Come on.
My choice!
Jesus.
I will not be stopped.
What are we watching?
Join with us right now.
Is there anything here? I thought he was gonna be saying something. This is just a lot of drivel here. That's what I wanted to see. The abortion cake.
It's weird. It's an insane devaluing of human life, and it's also spread to TikTok.
So the cake says, "Congrats, it's aborted," as opposed to a boy or a girl.
It's an entire subgenre. If you really want to lose faith in America's youth, we'll look at a couple of videos from the Yeetus the Fetus.
Yeetus the fetus, with a woman, throwing her baby like a basketball into a hoop, which is the garbage. America. Well, just I will say, a lot of the ugliest women are pro-abortion. I don't know if that's because they are loud and block out the sun. I don't know. It's because they don't it's not about having children. It's not about that. It's about power. You see the people who you see people like this, and the reason that they are the most fervent about this is because it's not about the children. It's about them. It's about my power, my ability, my this, my that, my rights. I mean, really? Now, let's not get it twisted. There's some dude that will lay down. And I'm sure, I'm not even going to say that. But it's not about the kids. It's about the power. They want power. Exactly. Shout out to Stephanie Miller. Welcome to the party. It's pure selfishness. It's the desire to be able to do whatever I want to do because I want to do it. That's it. Do any slim birds live there? By birds, you mean women? Yeah, there's definitely in shape women, but they are hated. They are hated by the liberal hegemony because, just like Adele, they're going to the patriarchy and the patriarchal standards of the beauty standard, all that bullshit. Said I wouldn't be surprised if people started celebrating abortion reveal parties with a black theming. Devil shit. Yeah, I mean, well, we just saw the cake. He said people reflect who they are on the inside. So if you're a miserable person on the inside, they're going to look miserable and ugly on the outside as well. Indeed. Well said.
I'm sure we've all seen them of like women making abortion cakes and like literally throwing parties. Like that's not majority of Americans. I fully acknowledge that. But to say that people don't do that is not fully true.
But they're extremists on both sides.
So
it's
it's
never good to like give the examples of the extreme.
Abortion rights are basic human rights.
All right. Abortion rights are basic human rights. 64% of the community said abortion rights are basic human rights. Only 36% of us, obviously we didn't vote, but only 36% of people who understand what a right is and what that word means correctly answered that no, of course, unless you can find in the Constitution or anywhere else in the amendment or any statute that says it is a right, then it's not. It's a privilege. It's a service.
Agreeers?
Right, of course.
I mean, that is the foundation of this idea, right? Like being pro-choice means that you should have the legal right to go and to be able to get the basic human right, as if you are in a domestic abusive relationship, if you
just got done saying, well, let's not use extreme examples. And then you go to use an extreme example.
Come on, man.
Stephanie Miller said, I saw a video of a guy who wants to get a whole woman's reproductive transplant so he can get pregnant and be the first guy to get an abortion. I saw that shit too. Have you guys, I mean, let's, again, because I got to break this up. First trans man abortion. Shit. I think Sky News is not great with... All right, well, It's probably going to get claimed,
Worse
but
for last,
whatever.
here is a trans activist
Oh, it's only
desperate to
22
get
seconds.
a uterus transplant, not because they want to give birth, but
No.
because they want to get an abortion.
Trans woman to have a successful uterus transplant, ovaries and eggs included.
Shout out to Libs of TikTok, of course. And listen to the excitement. Listen to the excitement about me. Look what I can do. Me.
And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
Haram!
I mean, what? How did we get here? How did we get here? So yeah, we can talk about how there are domestic violence and this, that, and the other. But if you're going to be the one to say, let's not use extremes. Let's not use extremes. When you said that person looked like a John Lennon wannabe. Oh, God. Context in the normies say the left isn't celebrating depravity. Well, that's because they're stupid. Well, just said a lot of people use the UN Human Rights Declaration, which means nothing. Nothing.
Basic human right, as if you are in a domestic abusive relationship, if you know that the baby is going to be born with health defects, things of that nature, it should be a basic human right to have the opportunity to, I guess, allow that child to not be born into less than optimal circumstances.
Okay, so you have laid down the gauntlet. So because you're and I'm doing this on purpose, but because you're a white man who has all of this privilege, you think that not being a straight white male with all the privilege, you don't even deserve to live. If you have what did he say?
I guess allow that child to
the
right to have the opportunity with health defects.
Oh, health defects. Yeah, health defects. If you have a health defect, you don't deserve, or you would prefer, according to Homeboy, to not live at all. They're not hiding it, guys. They're telling you exactly what they think. They're telling you exactly how depraved they are.
Domestic abusive relationship, if you know that the baby is going to be born with health defects, things of that nature, it should be a basic human right to have the opportunity to, I guess, allow that child to not be born into less than optimal circumstances.
It comes from our Constitution. I think abortion.
Fucking pardon? What comes from our Constitution? The ability to kill children? I'm gonna need a source on that, bro.
Into less than optimal circumstances.
It comes from our Constitution. I think abortion was rightfully inferred from that liberty interest for women. When it was overturned, I think that puts a lot of other rights that come from that interpretation of liberty at issue. I mean,
you're not saying words, bro. That was nothing. That there was nothing. I was thinking maybe he misunderstood the idea that the Supreme Court kicked back Roe v. Wade to the states. Maybe he was mixing it up and saying that no, we shouldn't have abortion, which of course is not what they're saying. They were just saying the states decide. But what? Yeah, exactly, new film. Less than optimal situation. I guess we can abort 90% of the babies born in Africa because they're all doing worse than all of us here. All of us in the bottom, the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst in America is still the top 1% of the world. So what is an optimal circumstance? What is a health defect? Where do you draw that line? And of course, they don't have answers to these things because they don't think about these things. They're just fed these excuses for mental gymnastics to jump around. Well, what about this? 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 To never actually have a position like M169 was saying earlier that like, oh, well, it's for the women to decide. And I hate to bring religion into it, but it's the same exact. Oh, there's the hungry dance. I knew the hungry dance was coming. I do hate to bring religion into it, but it's the same exact thing when people will tell me as an atheist for not believing, well, I don't think you should burn in hell. God does. Same thing. Same thing. M169 said it's a sick and twisted view. But if those kids are aborted, wherever will they get their inspiring stories? Yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can word for word. I want to see what exactly is this
Less
guy
than
saying.
optimal circumstances.
It comes from our Constitution.
Okay, something comes from our Constitution.
I think abortion was rightfully inferred from that liberty interest for.
I think abortion was rightfully inferred from that liberty interest for women.
What?
So I think what he means is that it lines up in giving women liberty. But of course it doesn't, because we're not talking about the woman, we're talking about the child. Okay.
Women. When it was overturned, I think that puts a lot of other rights that.
So when Roe v. Wade was overturned, that puts a lot of other rights, such as.
That come from that interpretation of liberty at issue. I mean,
such as.
Obviously, there was a dissent where they said that, but again, I think since it comes from the Constitution,
no, it doesn't.
Interpreted from liberty, it's a fundamental aspect of the United States.
I am putting a lot of faith in these ladies that when they step forward to ask where in the Constitution does it say that you can get an abortion.
Stupid.
So Miller said people can give all the excuses they want, but abortion is primarily used as birth control. They don't want it. It's a clump of cells. If they do, it's a baby. More. What are you doing? Come on, man. Come. Let's go. Pick a spot and stay there. I know you're hungry, but damn. Let's see.
It's freedom.
I think a lot of
freedom. Freedom is being able to murder babies.
People, when they come to the pro-life issue, they ground themselves in like their own personal moral.
How dare you?
How dare you ground yourself in morality? You're grounding yourself in moral views? What are you, crazy? What do you think that's a way to build society and build community? Work on morality? Oh my goodness.
When they come to the pro-life issue, they ground themselves in like their own personal moral views on what a life is and what counts as a life worth protecting.
Right. Where is your value for life and what's worth protecting? Because there's less than optimal circumstances. Jesus Christ. People are too comfortable today. Optimal circumstances isn't a human right. It's something to be worked for. Fuck yeah, it is. Less than optimal. Less than optimal.
And a lot of that comes from religion, right? We see a lot of Christians in the United States, other religious groups as well. They see, I guess, nothing wrong with the government coming in and mandating what your moral sets of values are.
He ain't wrong. On that one point, he ain't wrong.
And a lot of that comes from religion, right? We see
Tell me where he's wrong on this one point. Tell me where he's wrong.
A lot of Christians in the United States, other religious groups as well. They see, I guess, nothing wrong with the government coming in and mandating what your moral sets of values are.
So the problem is, he can see that, but because he doesn't have any values, he can't flip it around on his own position. So this could be somebody that if we unravel all the indoctrination, all the brainwashing, if he's smart enough to at least see that that exists, that maybe he's part of the same thing on the other side. But because there's religion is religion, instead of talking about which moral values and just calling it religion, it stops the conversation. And this is somebody who will always be pro-choice because it's against religion. This is what I tell you guys all the time. Shout out to Guamtech. Said Morty's got a sickness and I am the cure. Hell yeah. Gang, eat it up. Thank you. So much. And of course, that makes you the new co-sponsor of the stream. Thank you, sir.
The government coming in and mandating what your moral sets of values are.
All right, ladies, I am really...
I want to talk about what Nick said, how, not allow a child to enter into a not optimal situation. And I don't understand our society's obsession with perfection. My story is that when I was 18 weeks pregnant with identical twins, they were diagnosed with something called twin-to-twin transfer syndrome.
Ooh, twin-to-twin transfer syndrome. Twin-to-twin She said transfer. In TTTS, blood from the smaller donor. Okay, so maybe she got it wrong. And TTTS, blood from the smaller, quote, donor twin is transferred to the larger recipient twin through interconnecting vessels, causing an unequal exchange of blood. Recipient twin is larger and at risk for heart failure because receiving too much blood from the donor twin. I would have thought it would be the other way around, where the one, the one eats the other, like fucking Professor X from the X-Men, right? That was his shit. Stephanie Miller said, no, I don't feel that way at all. If the government is dictating it, then it's not personal, it's forced. I don't think the government should dictate how we feel at all. It's a large statement, but that's what laws are. That's what laws are. I think the morality, like personal morality, is a lot more narrow because we're talking about individuals. But that's what laws are. They're meant to say, we as a society say that this behavior is good or bad. Making murder illegal is legislating morality. Because you might say, this dude did that and whatever, and he deserves to die. I should be able to murder him. But we don't allow that because we've dictated that we should all agree that murdering people is not a good thing. So that's exactly what it is. You can feel whatever way you want, but that's what it is. Burner Popcorn Count said, great stream, Jesus. Thank you. So I'm child-free, as am I, but if I got pregnant, I don't think I'd be able to get an abortion. The abortion issue isn't really my hill to die on, but I've noticed women bringing it up constantly, even in totally unrelated conversations. For many Democrat women, they are single-issue voters, which, again, is exactly why it's so very important that we have all the rhetorical skills to explain why they are wrong and why we are right, without turning it into some clash. There is a way to do that. It's not easy. Most people aren't going to be down for it, but we can do it. We just have to be compassionate as well as intelligent.
When I was 18 weeks pregnant with identical twins, they were diagnosed with something called twin-to-twin transfer syndrome. Baby B had limited amnio. She was shrink-wrapped. She had no visible bladder. And my OB said, you need to terminate. I was strong enough to try to find a different path and a different course of treatment. And my daughters are now juniors at UCSB. I got an econ major and a bio major, and they're going to be strong women and trailblazers. And so we also need to be super careful with becoming a society that says who is allowed to live and who is allowed to die.
We need to be very careful in becoming a society who gets to dictate who is allowed to live and who is allowed to die. How can you possibly disagree with that statement? I said, I guess I can see that. I see laws like no murder more as not being able to inflict pain or suffering on someone else, if that makes sense. It does make sense, but that's what morality is. Because remember, as an atheist, when we talk about morality, we're talking about that spectrum, right? The spectrum between the greatest possible good for all human beings and the worst possible suffering for all human beings. Morality or being moral would be moving towards the greatest well-being for all people. Being immoral would be moving towards the greatest suffering of all people. If that's not what we're talking about, then I don't know what you mean by morality. God, no God, religion, no religion. I don't know what it is that you are referring to when you say morality, if we're not talking about that spectrum. And so the inflicting pain or suffering on someone else moves us, moves us towards the suffering side. And so that is immoral. And so we legislate that we don't want people to do immoral things. Now, we don't legislate it down to how you should act in every moment. But we absolutely legislate morality. Bernard said, also ironic how the same people spouting all this stuff about bodily autonomy were totally fine with forced vaccinations and don't give a shit about men's rights in regards to children. I said, dilly to that. Hell yeah. All right, let's dive back in here.
major, and they're going to be strong women and trailblaze. And so we also need to just be super careful with becoming a society that says who is allowed to live and who is allowed to die. I also wanted to talk about, when you brought up faith, there are a lot of atheists who are against abortion. One of the most famous atheists is Christopher Hitchens.
Hello. Hi, that's me.
And he wrote an article, a left-wing atheist's case against abortions.
I've never seen that, and I would love to. Christopher Hitchens abortion. Let's try this one. Let's see. Was this written by him? No, we'll go back to his actual. So this is from. Really? Yeah, I can't get a free thing. Jesus Christ. All right. Well. So this is something similar. Let's just see what we got here. So abortion is one of the more relevant issues of our time, as with many other subjects capable of arousing strong emotion. People tend to assume that the U.S. Public is evenly divided, in this case between pro-choice and pro-life positions. And some frequently cited polling, shout out to AWell over on Instagram, welcome to the party. A recent Gallup poll found that 49% of self-identify as pro-choice and 47 as pro-life. But I consider these data to be misleading, seeing that, let's get that, there we go. Got it. I just consider these data to be misleading, seeing that more nuanced research paints quite a different picture. A 2021 survey conducted by the Associated Press shows that while 60% of Americans agree abortion should be legal in some or most circumstances in the first trimester, the vast majority of Americans, 80%, oppose abortion in the third trimester, and a significant majority even oppose abortion in the second trimester. Such polling numbers help clarify. Yeah. So I mean, let's see if we. What did Christopher Hitchens say about abortion? Jesus Christ. This is why print news is going to hell. All right, so this is from May 2022. On Twitter, Peter Hitchens recirculated an interview from his late brother Christopher from Crisis magazine in 1988. Obviously a staunch atheist. Quote, nobody on the left can avoid noticing that the so-called pro-life forces are overwhelmingly female and from income groups that traditionally vote Democratic. Yet this simple rebellion by what one might dare to term humble people has been written off as reactionary by people who can't or won't see the essential dignity of the right to life position. In the 60s, Margaret Thatcher voted to keep capital punishment, to keep homosexuality criminal, to make divorce harder to get, and for the abortion bill. I gather that since she's changed her positions on the latter, my own vote would have been as so often to exactly the reverse of hers. I had a queasy feeling about the disposability of fetus. This queasy feeling has not gone away. Once you allow the occupant of the womb, once you allow that, the occupant of the womb is even potentially a life. It cuts athwart any glib invocation of the woman's right to choose. I prefer to see abortion as a federal. Nothing is more horrible than inconsistency in the life question. Just look at capital punishment. The tremendous variance from state to state totally undermines the idea of stable justice or fair retribution. This moral objection applies whether or not capital punishment is a deterrent, which I don't think it is. I would like to see something much broader, much more visionary. We need a new compact between society and the women. It's a progressive compact because it's aimed at the future generation. It would restrict abortion in most circumstances. Now, I know most women don't like having to justify their circumstances to someone, but how dare you presume this subject to me? Some will say. But sorry, lady, this is an extremely grave social issue. It's everybody's business. And it goes on. And so even the staunch atheists Christopher Hitchens. If you're not familiar, go watch a debate that he did. He was a sharp-tongued British motherfucker that you would not want to be on the other side of an argument, whether it was a society and especially not religion against abortion. Not that hard. Not that hard. So we say, okay, I guess when I say morality, I mean like deviant behavior. Like I don't think the government should make it illegal to go to a strip club or illegal or watch OnlyFans. Right, but that's still the question of morality. So we think that it's not immoral for somebody to or immoral enough that we should say everybody can't do this. Even if you personally don't want to do it, then that's fine. You don't have to do it. But when we come to legislation, then it's for everybody. And so there are things that aren't good for some people and some people don't like, but other people do. Murder is not one of those things. Burner Cat said, I saw some stats about how women who get abortions and women who are making less than 40K were more likely to get abortions. So the whole argument about poor women needing them is nonsense. Yep. Yeah, well, poor women have, yeah, get that government check. Women also have the choice in being selective with their sexual partners and using one of 80 plus forms of birth control. Do not hook up with deadbeats. Lots of options, ladies. Lots of options. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. What's good? All right.
And he wrote an article, a left-wing atheist's case against abortions. We are 152 million in America who think that abortion is wrong. We're diverse.
Religion, I'm Christian and I live my whole life to honor God. As soon as an egg is fertilized by sperm, creates its own cells, its own DNA, so it's its own individual thing. So it's not just religion for me, it's also the scientific behind it.
How did I say less than? You know what I mean?
Even if it might have a health issue or something, if a 2-year-old has Down syndrome, no one
I was gonna get
kill that child now because
right. I was gonna make the point, but she beat me to it.
Or something. If a 2-year-old has Down syndrome, no one would say kill that child now because it's so there's separation from in the womb, out of the womb, because you know it's with time it's going to become.
I think there is an important difference though between a fetus and a fully developed baby. We have
There's a difference between a toddler and an adult. Okay, so
Oh, heck, what?
yes, indeed there is. One of the differences is not that one of them has life and one of them doesn't. So unless that's the difference, then that's irrelevant.
Important difference though between a fetus and a fully developed baby. We have laws against infanticide for a reason.
Why? I wonder if it's because we don't want to end life.
I get you guys believe that it starts at conception.
Okay, so then if you know that and you disagree, then where do you decide that life begins? And if you say some vague bullshit like viability or even heartbeat, that doesn't, it's not the same for everybody. And so there's only one marker that for every human being we can clearly mark the beginning, and that is conception.
Laws against infanticide for a reason. I get you guys believe that it starts at conception, but I don't think that belief should be put onto everyone else who may not subscribe to that belief as well.
I know you guys think that murder is wrong, but I don't think it's fair for you to put that belief on everybody else.
It's human. I'm not going to be disrespectful to that.
Sounds like you are, because killing is rather disrespectful. I don't know where you come from, but murder is rather disrespectful.
Everyone else who may not subscribe to that belief as well. Obviously, it's human. I'm not going to be disrespectful to that. I think there's a difference, a fundamental
When is
difference.
someone allowed rights then? Like, in your perspective, when is someone granted the right to life?
I hate that we didn't get the thing about the Constitution. Like, where in the Constitution is abortion?
I think Casey had it correct. The viability issue, that kind of clarified what Roe didn't, regarding the...
Okay, so how then do you determine viability? Until we have a marker that not viable, viable. Unless we have that marker, then that is arbitrary.
Issue of, well, when could we regulate? I think that's why I like Roe. The voters can decide where to draw the line of viability.
Okay, but what do we do?
So should the voters also be able to determine that viability, if you just take a newborn and you put it on a table It's gonna die. It's gonna die. So can we then decide that that is not viable? Based on your logic, I don't see why not. Makes perfect sense. These are the most beta dudes. Yep, nobody fucking them. Actually, sadly, all the lib fems are
That's
all
why
over
I
it.
like Roe. The voters can decide where to draw the line of viability.
Okay, but what do we do about?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. So, typically when you talk about like alpha male and like a beta is just the opposite of that. Burner Popcorn Counts. I just want to point out that all of these soy boys on this panel are alive because their own mothers chose life. Something that's going to go right over their heads.
About New York, where there's unrestricted abortion up to 24 weeks. And Curtis Means was a baby who was born at 21 weeks, 1 day, is in the Guinness Book of World Records. And there's unrestricted abortion in New York. And in fact, New York celebrated by taking the Freedom Tower and making it pink. So then what do you do with that?
It's up to the voters. That is their state.
But don't
Cope. What do you think? We're not here to talk about how politics works. We're asking your position.
I think that that's kind of problematic to say, oh, well, that's murder in this state, but that's not murder in another state. If that's the case, then we're killing thousands, millions of babies in one state and allowing another set to live solely because of their geography. Like, that just seems like a form of discrimination.
Based discrimination. That's a word that, whoa. We can't have discrimination.
Is a result of the Dobbs decision, which struck down Roe v. Wade, which had a federal legislation that the majority of the country agreed that should have been the standard for when an abortion
Well, just because the majority of people believe something doesn't mean that it's good, though. A lot of times in history, we've seen the majority of people believe in something that was really bad.
My God.
But that doesn't mean that it's okay.
Obviously, when we look at slavery, we know that that was terrible. We wouldn't want majoritarian rule. We honor people's ability to sort of make these decisions for themselves.
Unless you're a fetus.
You mentioned slavery. We know this is wrong now, but back then people also knew that it was wrong. There were people back in the times of slavery that fought against it. So slaves weren't seen as people, therefore slavery is okay. You could be a good Christian, plantation owner with slaves because we weren't people. No matter the situation of what's happening in current society, an abortion, and people use all these flowery terms for it, but it's ending a life. That's what it is.
Abortion, termination of a pregnancy is medical care in a lot of situations. These states now.
Who called out maid? Where is it? Somebody who brought up going to Canada. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know where it is, but you got it. Did I miss this one? All right, a burner popcorn account said, gonna sound cheesy, but one thing that impacted me positively was this abstinence speaker named Pam Stenzel. She was well known in Christian circles for doing talks on the consequences of sex. One of Pam's big talking points is that she herself is a product of ARPE. I looked her up, and she's on Twitter with based takes. Interesting. I mean, I would assume that for the overwhelming majority of men, the idea of needing abstinence is in a different context, because as a woman, you got dicks flying at you all the time, but it don't really work like that for us. But fair point for the ladies out there. So how come a woman can go get an abortion and it's okay, but the same woman can get hit or pushed and lose the baby, and someone gets charged with murder? Make it make sense. Is it murder or is it not? Is it murder or is it not? Psst, it is. Great point. And you definitely are not going to get people. I was going to say something. I was going to say you're definitely not going to get lefties siding with criminals who are killing white women. And then I was like, actually, maybe you will. Spot on. Indeed. Montex said, have you ever heard of the Students of Life? There's a nonprofit anti-abortion organization. The person makes okay arguments, but she's definitely on the other side of the coin to the pro-abortion. No, not familiar. Let's take a look. Because they're telling me, oh, looks, we detected video belonging to someone else in your stream. It's called fair use, bitches. Students. Jesus Christ. abolish abortion. Who we are. Says here that Kristen Hawkins launched Students for Life of America full-time in August 2006. Thanks to an angel investor, our organization was able to grow rapidly with the mission to build and become the voice of the pro-life generation. For the first several years of our organization, we were focused on growing the number and quality of Students for Life groups on college, high school, and graduate campuses. However, simply starting a Students for Life group is not our mission. Abolishing abortion is. Students for Life has grown up to become one of the leading pro-life advocacy organizations in the world, driving the narrative for the entire movement and leading by example. Our staff size and budget is one of the largest in the entire pro-life movement, and our reach and success are recognized movement-wide. We are humbled to report that a pro-life advocate cannot go to a pro-life march or any other event without witnessing our legacy of joyful, hopeful, young people proudly waving our signature black and white, I am the pro-life generation. I love it. I love it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Gonzo said, their problem, their debate against Destiny was hard to watch because she restored so many woke style tactics, but against abortion. Interesting. So they're lefties, they're feminists. These I kind of, oh, I didn't even use feminist. I was gonna use feminist in the title of this to, just make it a little bit more hooky, but I didn't want to clickbait y'all. Burns says, so paranoid about pregnancy and STDs that I help longer than most women. To each their own, right? I only bring it up because there are people out there that do sometimes make a bad name for pro-life activists. And her name is Kristen Hawkins. 70 said, I really hate the whole, but what if my life is at stake argument? Nobody's going to let the mother die. And even if they would, the baby can't live if she dies, so that argument makes no sense. Well, I don't know if that's not true. There's a lot of women who died in childbirth before we had, like modern medical technology. That was, somewhat common that you would die in childbirth. But point taken. Yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Burner said, it was so cringe. I didn't make it through much of the train wreck. Fair enough. I would love to debate some feminists, but I don't think that they would want to be over here. But hey, if you know a feminist, let her know.
Termination of a pregnancy is medical care in a lot of situations. These states now can actually force them to bring a child to term that could potentially kill them or put them in a terrible emotional and financial deficit that they otherwise would have had the choice to get out of.
Yes, and either way, I would love to talk to Destiny.
There is a woman that she gave the recommendation that she did need to terminate the pregnancy because I can't remember how many weeks, somewhere around 20 weeks. If she were to bring
what is he talking about?
Term, it would likely kill her. She would have to leave.
So then you end the pregnancy. That's it. You'll lose.
Is it her life is at? I'm sorry, but her life is at jeopardy, correct?
Her life is probably at jeopardy.
So there's no law in any state that prohibits saving the mother's life. The mother's life is always prioritized under the law.
Oops.
I would like to say something about that because I do think those situations matter, but those are the vast minority of abortions that are happening. So that's my issue with it.
Abortion is murder.
All right, we know where this one is going. Abortion is murder. Goal or game over? Let me know in the chat. Replay gang, let me know in the comments. Abortion is murder. Agree or disagree?
Murder.
I'm just showing my face because I'm not skipping anything and I'm totally following all the rules.
I think the debate here kind of starts with when people decide that it's a life, and like as soon as, when a baby's conceived, that's when life starts because of its own DNA. It will become a human, it will become just like us, and all it takes is the time and like nurture.
Yeah, this was just like, I don't know if you, I think I've talked about this before because I think I've gotten copyright claim for this before. But the Bill Burr bit where he does a bit, and I'm going to butcher it. You should definitely look at it again. I would love to show it. However, they're going to claim it. So he's talking about, you know, he's talking about all this stuff. There we go. We got some gold in the building. Murder. He's talking about the abortion issue, and he's talking about like how you know, the wokies are going a little too far. And he talks about that. Well, it's just a clump of cells and da 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 da. He's like, okay, but if I'm baking a cake, all right, get my flour together, get everything, I mix it all together, and I put it in the oven, and then 5 minutes later, you come by. You open the oven and you fling that shit across the kitchen. And I go, what the fuck did you do to my cake? You're not going to be like, well, it wasn't a cake yet. It would have been if you just left it the fuck alone. That is a perfect. And Bill Burr is pretty woke. I mean, I don't know if he's pretty woke, but he's pretty left. He's pretty, you know, outside of the, you know, he's definitely got a hint of TDS, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you know, people are starting to get it.
We'll become a human and we'll become just like us, and all it takes is the time and like nurture.
They stop the heart of the fetus. They have to dismember the fetus. They stop, you know, the pill.
So actually, I don't like this argument either. I don't like the because it's an emotional argument. They tear it apart and they're pulling limb from limb. Yes, that does happen, but that doesn't make it worse. It's already murder. Don't play their game and try to make this an emotional thing. They already don't care. So if you're trying to appeal to their emotions on this, number one, they don't have them. And number two, it's a weaker tactic than this is murder. That's it. Brendan Popcorn's account said, unfortunately, Bill was somewhat base, but has been overtaken by his woke wife, Nia. I don't think that's the case. I've been a fan of Bill for a long time. And I think he is a typical working class dude who, just like, you know, like I talk about all the time, how I was a 2015 liberal. When he grew up in the 70s. So in the 70s, the Republican Party and you know, the Liberal Party, they were very different. And so he's not somebody who pays attention to politics. He pays attention to culture. He's around, you know, in the sense that he's living his life. He has to talk about things that people relate to, but he's not into politics. He has opinions here and there, but he is precisely what we would say is the default liberal. He's not, you know, super woke. He's not super base. He's just not into politics, and he gets his information from the major sources. And so a lot of the wokeness that he has is just something that if you actually explained it to him, he'd be like, oh yeah, that's fucking stupid. There's a lot of, I mean, especially the feminists. Oh, does he go off on the feminists? And I don't know. I disagree. I think he's been the only thing is that society has become more woke and stuff. And so that's what I think it is. It's not that Bill changed. Bill just stuck with whatever the default position was. And so it's society that changed. I'm not going to put that on Bill. Because again, he is, you know, your typical, he should be a Trump voter. He just, because he lives in LA and he's in that circle, that's not an option. If he stayed in Boston, there is no shot in the world that Bill Burr would not be voting for Trump. Goal or game over on that. If Bill Burr stayed in Boston, he would be a MAGA supporter for sure. Go or game over.
Heart of the fetus. They have to dismember the fetus. They stop, you know, the pills stop giving nutrients to the fetus. So obviously you're killing something. Maybe there's a debate because murder implies like, you know, malicious intent. But regardless, it was a life, and the abortion is what stopped that life.
There's justice for the 5. There was a few babies, 5 babies that were found that were 3rd trimester aborted. Not to be graphic, but pieces of their heads were missing, their limbs. These are human beings, you know. And if we want to say logically consistent, then if a life starts at conception, then it is murder to kill it.
Bingo.
All right, femboy.
I think conception's a really early place to put the life beginning. I think that
yeah, it's just too early. It's not convenient for me.
Has the potential to be a human being. You know, obviously.
Yeah, that's what life is.
It's living, but
right. So to stop it from living is what? Killing it.
But it's alive when it's inside of me. Before I, we know how baby is.
Yeah, same here. Roseanne Barr said the left left her. Shout out to the Walk Away campaign. How many of us were so ready to be liberals and continue being default liberals and weren't paying attention, and then the left just went insane, and we're like, all right, let me take a closer look at this. Kind of like I did with the Bible. I mean, the Bible didn't really go crazy. I mean, the religious right was a whole thing, but that's, that was before my time, not really connected. But point being is that I was assuming that this is reality in a very narrow scope, because that's what I was told. And I didn't feel a reason to question it. And then I was like, let me question it. And it blew the doors off my perspective. Take it for what you will. Take it for what you will. In the same way it's happening to one side of dogma, why would it not be happening to the other side of dogma? So they're basically saying killing a caterpillar isn't killing a butterfly. and yeah, like technically it's not. But it would be. Or it would be a butterfly. Burn Popcorn Counts. And oh my God, I just realized the Asian dude in the middle is the guy who made a video talking about how he was falsely accused of SA and how it wrecked his life. And then at the end, still supported the Me Too movement. Some of these people are just too far gone. They're just too far gone. There's nothing. There's nothing.
It's living, but it's alive when it's inside of me. Before I, we know how baby is made. It is alive inside of me. So, and it has its own, it's half the DNA.
So are you saying the same thing?
No, sir. Sperm is your DNA. When the sperm hits the egg and creates a zygote, that is new DNA, which means a new person.
Is like an egg is the same thing as a fetus?
No. I'm not saying. Obviously, when it fertilizes, it's different.
Yeah.
But where does the DNA come from? It comes from both individuals when they meet, right?
But on
yes, and
its own, it will never develop into.
It's an alive cell. It's a cell. It's alive.
But it will never develop. Like on its own, like an egg cannot just.
But it's you. It's you. You don't die when you throw your jizz rag away. This is the stupidest fucking line of thinking. This is Destiny's line of thinking too. He's like, well, why don't we feel the same way about toenail clippings? Because you are still alive after you clip your toenails. The DNA in those toenails is your DNA. It's not the same thing. Your analogy is wrong. You are incorrect. You fail. I'm sorry. You fail. Burn Count said to level the playing field, women should only be allowed to have one, but not both. Abortions or child support. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Dilly too. That going hard. Based. All right, guys. Don't forget, we are coming up on the 2.5-hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
It's alive.
But it will never develop. Like on its own, like an egg cannot just, without it being fertilized, it cannot just develop into a human.
Yes.
Well, didn't we just establish that embryos don't develop on their own? Like they.
Oh, he's going to say they don't develop on their own because they take nutrients. Oh, and by that logic, then nothing is viable. So if we're looking for viability, then it never occurs because you as an adult human person still need nutrients. You fucking moron.
Yes. Well, didn't we just establish that embryos don't develop on their own? Like they need the nutrients of the mother. These are environmental conditions that they need to develop, right?
But I think
the scientific consensus is that at fertilization, the DNA will never be reproduced. So like it'll still be its own distinct DNA versus like a sperm, like it can die off. It needs the egg.
Yeah, facts. As it stands now, men have basically no reproductive rights.
Bingo.
Own distinct DNA versus like a sperm, like it can die off. It needs the egg.
Then what about like identical twins?
I have identical twins. So they are.
Oops, wasn't ready for that.
Genetically totally similar, but because environmentally they're different, that in the environment is that they grow up in, and that's when they start to change and become different.
I guess the point I'm just trying to make is I think
stupid. We know
the uniqueness of your DNA is a weird. It feels arbitrary to me to draw the line there.
abortion. It seems really weird to start the life at the start of a life.
What?
I'm just trying to process how fucking stupid you have to be to think. Like, you can disagree with the notion of wanting to say life begins at conception, but to say let me know. Oh, I think we're back. I think we're back. Are we back? Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Yep. Jesus is frozen, but Jesus returns. All right, let's ride. Feels arbitrary. It's weird.
Uniqueness of your DNA is a weird. It feels arbitrary to me to draw the line there. Like, that's the only qualifier.
So where?
Hey, shout out to the Reverend Woodrow Goodshine Ministries. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. He said, oh God, no. Fair.
Where would you like to draw the line?
Point of viability.
Point of viability?
Viability
Are
is
you against the New York?
Okay, so define viability in the context of a fetus. Oh, you don't know how to do that because that's too vague of a thing. Gotcha.
Bill, that's
In
up
my
to 24
opinion, I'm not a voter.
I
know.
want your opinion.
Okay, I would say somewhere in, I'd say early second trimester
what
is I
week?
think
Give
it's
me a week.
acceptable. 4, 8, 12, it's 16 to 20.
What do you, how, in what universe is it reasonable for you to just off the top of your head just decide, maybe, well, I'm not trying to, maybe, and look at what 4, 8, 12, 16 to 20, I think is right. Like, why? You're just saying things. You're just saying things.
I think personally is
So
all
then
right.
you're okay. You want to say no abortions after 20 weeks. You're okay with that?
That's, I mean, would it, if it was on the ballot and would I vote for it?
Yeah.
Yes, because I'd say still it gives, the woman ample opportunity to choose before it is fully developed in this like past the 3rd trimester. No, that's infanticide, right? I think that is personally way too
So
early.
do you think someone who has an abortion after 20 weeks, they are doing something that's immoral?
Not immoral. I would say I personally wouldn't do it. Again, I'm not going to impose my morality on anyone.
Why? Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? You said, I'm not going to impose my morality. She asked you if you think it is immoral. You said you wouldn't do it and impose your morality. We've established that other people can think whatever we're asking your opinion. Listen again.
Way too
So
early.
do you think someone who has an abortion after 20 weeks, they are doing something that's immoral?
The question is, in your personal opinion, do you think that that is immoral?
Not immoral. I would say I personally wouldn't do it. Again, I'm not going to impose my.
But I wouldn't do it. So why wouldn't you do it? Because you think it's immoral. Almost said, channel trailer idea. We need a we need a video of the Indian Jesusisms like projection, just saying things and dilly and such. Maybe we'll have some examples thrown in.
Oh, hell no.
This is the dumbest idea you've ever had. Yeah, instead of welcoming people who have no idea who I am to the channel and letting them know what the channel is, let me just shout a bunch of random inside jokes that I have with you guys at them.
Stupid.
Come on, man. I'm just messing with you, but it is a pretty bad idea, but I'm just being a dick for effect. Burner Popcorn Count said, oh man, RFK Jr. went on Flagrant. It's annoying because I hate Andrew Schultz, but he always gets the guests I want to see. I love Schultz. I mean, he has kind of changed a little bit recently, but let's say as of Flagrant 2, when it was still Flagrant 2, huge Schultz fan. Guys, there is nothing stopping you from taking any of my content and doing whatever you want with it. It's pretty easy to edit. I use a free software. If you want to see it, just make it.
Something that's immoral.
Not immoral. I would say I personally wouldn't do it. Again, I'm not going to impose my morality on anyone else. Everyone has come to their own
I got that. I just want your opinion.
Good. Great job. I got that. I want to know your opinion.
I personally don't
Because
I'll say that I personally
Hell no. You can use my shit for whatever. If you use it in a bad light, don't expect that I'm not going to come back at you and probably win. But do with once it's out there, you can do with it what you please. Shout out to Poon Cooler. Welcome to the party. Coming in. Good to see you. Good to see you, brother.
In a sense.
Wait. Let's let him answer.
Again, I wouldn't do it. I think it's
Right.
immoral in
We got
my
that.
opinion. In my opinion.
So when you said not immoral, you were lying, right?
Wait, let's let him answer that.
Again, I wouldn't do it. I think it's
Right.
immoral and
I wouldn't do it because I think it's immoral. But I want other people to be able to do immoral things.
Haram!
There's no debate here. You are the bad person. You are the bad person.
We got that.
In my opinion,
I really just want to back it up to when he first said,
where in I'd say early second.
Or
Fair to me, did you make
I'm a voter.
I want your opinion.
Okay,
Bill, that's
in
up
my
to
opinion,
24 weeks.
in my opinion, I'm not a voter.
I
know.
want your opinion.
Okay, I would say somewhere in I'd say early second trimester
what
is I
week?
think
Give
it's
me a week.
acceptable. 16 to 20, I think personally is
So
all
then
right.
you're okay. You
Yup.
want to say no abortions after 20 weeks. You're okay with that.
That's, I mean, I would if it was on the ballot and would I vote for it?
Yeah.
Yes, because I'd say still it gives, the woman ample opportunity to choose.
okay, that's a fair position. It gives people time to choose and understand and figure out what they got to do. It's a big decision. This guy thinks that you should be able to do it and that you have the time to figure out. That's a fair position. I disagree. Fair position.
Before it is fully developed in this past the third trimester, no, that's infanticide, right? I think that is personally way too early.
Okay, so the question is, so do you think someone who's had an abortion
Someone who has an abortion after 20 weeks,
after 20 weeks is doing something immoral?
they are doing something that's immoral.
Not immoral, I would say I personally wouldn't do it. Again, I'm not.
They are doing something that's immoral.
Not immoral.
Not immoral. Not immoral.
I think someone who has an abortion after 20 weeks, they are doing something that's immoral.
Not immoral, I would say I personally.
And then we go back.
But it's not based on any religion. I think that's why you. in a sense.
Wait. Let's let him answer that.
Again, I wouldn't do it. I think it's immoral and.
Back to back, baby. It's not immoral. It's just, well, I think it's immoral, but I think other people should be able to do what's immoral. So we all agree it is wrong. You just want people to be able to do debaucherous shit. That is what we are looking at. What does Marty think about women's reproductive rights? That is a members question or a super chat question. Get it in while you can. Join the membership. Hit the after party. That is how we do. I really don't know. They should ask the guys if they would marry a woman with a history of getting 30 plus abortions. That is a fantastic question. The problem is they would just say yes. They obviously would have a feel some type of way about it, but they would just say yes. Well, yes, of course. I'm sure there's some weird and there would be some bullshit because that's what we established. They're either lying or they're too naive to understand their position. That's it. Shout out to Seabass. Murder is murder. Widget said, I used to be pro-choice until people started to count on having an abortion as some sort of own. Your actions have consequences, and abortion is the coward's way out. Indeed. And yeah, everybody's loving it.
We got that.
In my opinion,
We got that.
But it's very subjective, this topic. And I think that's why you need to give individuals ample time because you can look at this from 50
You're not
different
answering
angles.
the question.
What?
Do you think it's
I like her. He already did say yes.
immoral?
I told you, yes, it was immoral, in my opinion.
Okay, good.
But it's not based on any religion. It's just based on how, an arbitrary line. Even my opinion is arbitrary. If you show me information otherwise, I maybe would change that.
Okay, so if you believe
Okay, so if you think you have an arbitrary line, and we're saying, okay, let's take it out of the subjective and make it objective so that everybody is being treated exactly the same, then even if we have to make an arbitrary line, we make an arbitrary line of when you'd become an adult. It's not like the day before your 18th birthday, you go through, you go to sleep, you go through some transformation and become an adult. It's an arbitrary line that we've decided, okay, this is where we think it's okay. So if you have somewhere to say that this is a better arbitrary line than the coming into existence as life. Fine, let's have that conversation. But you don't. Your whole argument is no. I don't think that's supposed to happen. There we go. No. Whereas back in the day, pregnant teens would be sent away to have their baby, give it up for adoption, and then they would return after visiting relatives. And I mean, as far from ideal as this is, so that's not an ideal situation. As far from ideal this is, if this was a standard for pregnant teens as opposed to abortion, we would be in a much better society. Now, again, I would want to create the society where there's not a bunch of pregnant teens. But if they're pregnant, better give them up than murder them. Seabass said Catholic origins are a result of nuns who choose to keep the baby. Interesting. I wish we had some more time to dive into that one. But I want to give a big shout out to the co-sponsors of the stream. Logan came in hot with the $5 super chat. Let's do it. Why not? Yeah, there you go. And of course, our boy, as always, Womtech salutes out the ass. Thank you so very much. I mean, it's so clear. It's so clear that these people, again, they don't have principles. They just have things that they think because it's advantageous to them. And he did get it there. We were at a dog park, and there was this big ass, I don't even know what it was. It wasn't a Great Dane, but it was big. And he went over, and that dog was just unbothered, and he's got it in a little bit. So ain't no virgin in this house. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, we can see that there has been, right before I was watching this, I was watching a 5-year-old debate from Destiny and Sargon of Akkad, where they were talking about the trans stuff. And it was one of those things, where they had oh shit, I can't see it. Where they had the claims and the this and the that. And it was really cool to see how they, not only this argument, particularly about what is a woman, how it plays out like this, but also how different the argument against, trans ideology is in the last 5 years, and how exactly the same the stupid points for gender ideology are. They have not changed. They have not changed. I'll put this actually in. I'll put this in the chat because I do think it is worth watching. Just because it's interesting to see where we were on this issue. Because Sargon of Akkad, not a small name. But the fact is, just like that, the left culturally, the left has not evolved. They maybe it's because they got so far ahead of the GOP rhinos that they didn't need to. But America First is here now, and you're gonna have to do better than that. You're gonna have to do better than that. Hey, shout out to Sticky Colas coming at the last minute to drop some fire. Said trans women aren't women; they're trans women. Indeed, they are. Punker said if you could debate Destiny, what's a topic you think you could cream him in? I don't think there is. I don't think I could cream him in anything. Nor would I want to. I think that it's much more about somebody like him. It would the only way I would cream him it would be if we were arguing something that he just didn't understand. He's a smart person, and he for the most part seems to be he tries to be in good faith. And so if he is arguing something that he doesn't know, he should be like, well, I don't know I don't know about that. So show me your source on this and that. And of course, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't want to do that. But if I was going to debate him, I definitely would want to just present my idea of clearly I would want to present just like with Peter Boghossian or with Ian Crossland, just like with Peter Boghossian. Just like with Mike Harlow, what I want to do is present my idea of the American identity something that Americans can coalesce around, that is not dogmatic, that is not religion, on the values that we all generally seem to agree upon. And I would want to throw it to him, and I think that he would be in favor of what I call the American identity, which is very similar to an America First type of ideology, where it's just like, we got problems at home. We care about our people more than other people. We don't not care about other people. We just care more about our people, regardless of their race, color, creed, sex, whatever. But it's our people, and we're gonna base our shit in reality and be fair to be as fair as we can. I think that's as simple as it can be, and I don't understand where anybody would have an issue with it. But I'm happy to adjust it. I'm happy to adjust it because I believe I have the answers to fix America. I say that with a straight face. I think I have the answers to fix America. Just put me in front of the right people. The left definitely has devolved. They went from debating facts to protecting the feels of adult children. Well said. Well said. Some more members content that we could definitely do. And so I do think, so there was a Jordan Peterson thing that I was watching earlier that I just have to share with you guys. And it's not really, it doesn't really fit in this context. So I'm going to do a 2-part members stream. So if you are not a member, pay attention. If you're not a member, when I do member streams, when they are live, you are able to watch them. I'm not putting them behind the paywall until after the stream. I don't know what time, I'll just do it whenever I feel like it. But so, make sure you're subscribed, turn the notifications on, make sure you're in the Discord so you get the notification. It is free to join the Discord. Either, members have access to way more in the Discord, including the after party where we're about to head, where you're not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. You don't have to cam up, but you're part of the conversation. So that's for members. Yeah, that definitely. We have a bunch of episodes of I think it was season 5 of Love Is Blind that I was reacting to. I'd love to do more of that. I don't know who's interested, but all that kind of stuff. Yeah, let me know what you guys are into. But yeah, either way, join the Discord. Make sure you are connected. You know how these YouTube notifications just don't do what they're supposed to do. Join the Discord. Make sure you're part of the conversation. If one of we don't have any mods here, so I will drop the link here. Actually, make sure we're on all platforms. And yeah, so it's free to join. And again, if you sign up as a member, just let me know, and that gets you full access to the whole server, including the after party. And I'm doing something. I'm not sure when. I think maybe over the summer we're going to do a movie night contest where if you hold a movie night, you get points for having the movie night. You get points for each person that attends. And then, it's a way for all us to get involved and talk about stuff other than politics. And whoever has the most movie nights and the most attendees and the most this is going to win 6 months free membership. So make sure you get into the server while you can. Indeed, epic it is. Yeah, I'm down for whatever. So make sure you join. There should be a join button right around here. I did also pin the link to the top of the chat. It's only $2.99 a month, guys. So, I'm not asking for much. And that's what we're about to do. So thank you so much for hanging out, guys. The members are headed over to the after party. I would love if you could join us. But thank you so very much. Again, big shout out to the sponsors of this stream, Elogen and Guam Tech. You guys are awesome. I know how much it takes to decide that you're going to give some dude who's just sitting in his living room talking your hard-earned money. And when you do that for me, it really shows that, number one, that, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something real. We are doing something real. And number two, it supports us doing more real shit. So thank you, guys. Let's head over to the after party. I am ready. Thank you so much for hanging out. Once again, down here's Morty. That was weird. Pause. Usually he's over here. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace. Shit.